Hi, Guilty Angel. Hi, Georgia. I don't know if you guys are in here yet. The numbers haven't updated for me quite yet. But while we wait for this, you know what I'm oh my God. Let me see. Let me put this up real quick. Yeah. Let me see. Let me put this up because I want to go get some water from downstairs. But in the meantime, I'm going to put this up. I'm going to put this up in the meantime. I'm going to give a second or two. So hopefully some notifications get pushed out because we all know YouTube. I want to put up a poll too, y'all. General audio. I can do it on my phone, putting up a poll super easily, but I just don't know how to do it on this software. How are y'all doing? So I see some people are starting to join. Thanks for joining, you guys. Hold on, yeah. I don't know how to do a poll. I should practice this like off the actual live as opposed to, okay. So y'all, let me see. Tell me, I'm going to have to update the title of this because I need like y'all's input on this because I don't know what to think about this. What is this, y'all? Hold on. What is this? Tell me what this is. Please, somebody explain this to me. So much has been happening. I don't even know what to say, you guys. What is this supposed to be, y'all? Let me share my screen. Hi, Georgia. Hi, Guilty Angel. I'm just saying hi again, just in case you guys. Okay. What's this? Like, I feel like y'all, you will probably be surprised as to what I think about this, y'all. Y'all will probably be surprised as to what I think about this. I'm going to leave this up. I'm going to go grab some water real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get started with the intro. Because I know sometimes my intros run a little bit longer. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I got a lot of commentary. What's this? Oh, that's not what I'm trying to show you. Okay. Y'all, please let me know what this is supposed to be while I go grab some water. Okay. Alrighty. All right. So let me see. Okay, y'all. Let me see. What do I want to start with? I guess we'll start with this. We'll start with this because I feel like there's not much to say. Hi, Looney28. How are you? I'm looking for feedback. I don't know how to put a poll on here. Oh, maybe this is how you do it. Girl, no, that's not how you do it. I don't even know what that is. But I'm looking for feedback as to what y'all's thoughts are. I went downstairs, came back upstairs, and I'm breathing. Like, I feel like I'm breathing as if I just ran 10K. All I did was go downstairs and back upstairs, y'all. So I'm looking for feedback as to what I'm more interested as to how y'all feel about this particular picture. I'm more interested as to how you guys feel about this, because I've heard different perspectives. I've heard different sides. I happen to think on this particular issue, it makes sense. I mean, each side has its own thought process on it. And I'm just kind of like, this was such a big deal, I guess, when it comes to like social media and TikTok, that I was like, well, this is kind of interesting. I wonder what others would think about this, right? Let me go ahead and share this. Well, I want us to start. Okay, so let me share this. Hi. Oh, no. The statutes from times. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, fantastic. All right, so let's start with intros, because we have like 2 intros. We're going to talk about Dusty Diddy. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the psychology behind Dusty Diddy. We're going to talk a little bit more about that whole situation, because that's a crazy situation. And y'all, I got really good feedback in the community section from one of you guys, from one of the subscribers, saying something like, perhaps I should target for feminist channels. Perhaps we should start talking more about money and how to get money. And that might make it easier, considering the high level of censorship that women are currently under. Okay, because a lot of TikTok is not as bad. TikTok, I feel like I got the algorithm locked in. As a viewer, I feel like I'm fine as far as the algorithm. YouTube is super boring now. I don't get anything unless I actively search for it. So I know that like they're really actively suppressing women's voices, especially on here on YouTube. TikTok is not as bad. I get a little bit more from TikTok, but from the creator perspective, from like the content creator perspective, awful. I mean, it's just like you can just see when they change the algorithm and completely suppress the content, right? So that's why I was like, I'm going to post this, because women need to be aware that this is happening. It's almost like they're wanting to take us back to like enslavement. They're wanting us to go back, literally, y'all. They're literally wanting us to go back to the good old days where women were, barefoot in the kitchen, cooking and cleaning, and just basically enslaved by the male species. This is what they're trying to do. This is where we are today, right? So anywho, I always get distracted. I have a little bit of I probably have a little bit of ADHD. Anyway, so let's start with this picture. We're going to talk about Dusty Diddy and that whole situation, my thoughts on that whole situation, a little bit about the psychology, and we're going to keep track of the story as well of Dusty Diddy, because there's a lot that we can learn about the psychology of predators from analyzing this case and Dusty Diddy's case. Okay. So with the lives, we're going to infuse it into the lives. And I'm going to admit, y'all, I am nosy. I am nosy. I do want to know what is going on. I want to know what happened. I'm always like, nuh-uh, so we're going to keep track of that story, and we're going to also make it even more worthwhile, because we'll look at the psychology behind Dusty Diddy, aka a male predator. So that way, if you encounter any of these signs, you'll be a little bit safer, hopefully, right? So, and then we'll go from there, because the male species, they are, I mean, despite all of this hyper surveillance on women and women's content and wanting to make sure that the voices of women remain suppressed, despite all of that, the males are failing and flailing. It just seems like something. It's the women just keep. There's more and more women that just keep running away from the male species, and it's amazing to me because regardless of, it doesn't matter how much women scream at the top of their lungs that they're not happy with the male species, it doesn't seem to matter. It just seems like it just continues to get worse for the male species, right? So we're going to take a look at that as well. Okay, now let's start with this picture. Here's my opinion on this picture. I don't really have much to say on this picture. I feel like it kind of left me speechless. It left me speechless because I don't know what to say to that. I don't know what to say about this. I don't think that it's something that, I feel like we have bigger problems. I feel like, when I talk about things like women's voices being censored, when I talk about DL males, which is a very, very big problem because so many of these males are DLs, and women would not really know. And so many women go for looks when it comes to males. And so just bigger issues that I feel like this is probably meant to distract us from. I just kind of feel like, okay, this is probably a distraction. That's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this picture. I was like, oh, here we go again with the distractions. You're trying to distract us because you're failing and flailing. Okay. That's number one, right? Hi, oh, Georgia, I think I already said yes. Right. So Georgia says, right, like we have way bigger issues to consider. So many things are here to distract us. Exactly. That was my first thought. I mean, I will be totally honest. I was speechless because I was like, the hell is this supposed to be? Like, what is the point of that? Like, why is this like a huge thing? Like, it's a statue and you put it, they made it so obvious that they were trying to they were trying to divide. It's like, I say this all the time, the patriarchy's MO is to divide and conquer. And I'm like, they didn't even have enough decorum to do it in a slick way. You know what I mean? It's like you're trying to distract us from everything that's going on in politics. We know what y'all are doing in the politics. We know where all that money is going and what you're doing when it comes to more and more of these jobs all of a sudden disappearing. They're trying to distract us from what's going on with the male species, failing and flailing, continuing to do so, very much so. There's so many other bigger issues, in my opinion, than to be arguing about something like this that I already knew right off the bat. Okay, you think you're funny because you're trying to play games and distract women in particular, which kind of tells me, there's a good chance they might feel, they're just trying really, really hard. You know how like when people feel trapped and they start freaking out, I feel like this is what that is. Okay. As far as the statue itself, I don't know. I kind of just feel like it is what it is, it's up to you. That's why whenever I was seeing the different commentary on it, the different opinions on it, I kind of felt like, well, I mean, this is kind of an easy answer. It just depends on the person and depends on what they consider as good looking, I suppose. There is a standard, there's a current universal standard of what's considered good looking based off of the media, based off of all these other things. So yes, there's like a general standard. So, but when I think about that, the next thing that I follow up with when it comes to that is like, well, all of this beauty stuff. Oh, I got to go get my Lilith statue because we're going to use my Lilith statue later on as we go. So I got to go I have 2 Lilith statues. So we're going to be using that. Anyway, what was I saying? So I think that it depends, but there is a standard of beauty that cannot be contested. Okay. Now, what came up for me as I was thinking about that is, well, the standard of beauty changes. So, I mean, just depending on the times, that type of the standard changes all the time. So it's not really anything worth going back and forth over. I do know that there's probably more to it. Yeah, because I saw the arguments, and so I know people are emotional about these type of things. So, but I think my main thing is, let's just not lose focus, because we have like other bigger things and bigger threats. Literally, women are losing rights left, right, center because the males are freaking out. So not losing focus is really the most important thing, I think, when it comes to this. But it was kind of like interesting. I was like, this is interesting. Y'all. So let's start with Dusty Diddy. There's some videos that I want us to watch. We'll start with Dusty Diddy, give a little bit of time, and then kind of go from there. I wonder, let me see. I feel like that was kind of I just didn't have anything come up for me. Also, I will say this. I will issue this warning to y'all. Okay. Part of what I saw, you know what? Let me show you. This is a warning. I'm not gonna get too involved with this. I don't want to be too involved with this, but I will do you guys this solid. Okay. I will issue you guys this warning because I don't think you really understand what they might be trying to do here to you guys. Okay. Myself included, because we all look the same to them anyway. So let me see. But when I say you guys, I mean the ones that don't understand how this patriarchy works. You know what I mean? Like maybe the Pygmishas as well. So let me see. Let me share this with you guys, okay? Because before we get into the other stuff. All right. So I'm going to share this and issue a public service announcement. All righty. Let's see. Present. All right. This is from Fox News. Okay. This is from Fox News on this whole statue issue. Okay. So let's see what they have to say.
A psychic is waiting for you. Cheap and accurate readings. Special offer -10.
Democrats have been on a statue jihad since the summer of love. Christopher Columbus, Teddy Roosevelt, George Washington, even Honest Abe, even Frederick Douglass all got torn down. Statues are important. They tell the American story. But the left wants to desecrate and forget our heroes and erect their own statues. In Times Square, a giant statue of a black woman just went up. And when I heard about the statue, I was open-minded. American heroes come in all shapes and sizes. Who is this woman? What did she do to get a statue? A nice one, too. Nothing. This isn't a real person. It's a DEI statue. The sculptor says she's a fictional character who's meant to contrast the statues of white men in Times Square, like Father Duffy, a World War I hero who actually accomplished something. The artist calls this fake lady a modern-day David. The contrapposto pose of her body and the ease of her stance is a subtle nod to Michelangelo's David. Huh. David was a celebration of the human form. Not sure what this statue celebrates.
So notice how he says David was a celebration of the human form. The male species body is a celebration of the human form. Are these males insane? Have they lost their mind? Like I'm telling you, males are so degenerate. Like, my patience runs thin with like every second that goes by with the male species. David was literally a complete DL male. I don't even know if he was DL. He was probably out in the open during those times. Okay. Everyone knows that. Okay. How is David a celebration of the human form? If anything, the woman should be a celebration of the human form. There's nothing to the male species. They don't even have boobs. They don't have anything. They just have that one thing that it looks like Mother Nature didn't even care to put any type of design onto. It just got plastered on there, and the male was sent on his way, right? So you can see how with everything, with every gameplay, with every move, with everything that you might see on social media that ends up being kind of like this huge thing, you will always have to look out for the inherent misogyny, okay? You'll always have to look out for, okay, what are the males trying to tell us? What are they trying to get women to do? Okay, what are they trying to get us to buy into? Okay. Exactly. The original human form is a woman. I even have a statue. I have it's downstairs, but you'll have to think logically, right? So you start catching on to, okay, what's the gameplay? Like, what's this supposed to be, right? It doesn't make sense to say David is the original human form. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, the males are so degenerate. So you want us to, like, this is what they've been spending decades and decades doing, putting themselves as gods when they are literally good for nothing. So if the males are the epitome of the human form, then why don't all of you get the heck out of our faces and piss all the way off? You know, so when the males open their mouth, I just can't. I can't even take the males speaking anymore. It's like I can't listen to you any longer. My patience is just non-existent with the male species, because everything they do, it's to cause violence, it's to cause division, and it's stupid. They're literally just so dumb, literally, you know. So you have to start analyzing it from the get-go, right?
Celebrating. If you were going to put up a fake statue, why not make her happy and healthy? Not slap a big scowl on her face and her hands on her hips. This is what they want us to aspire to be? If you work hard, you can be overweight and anonymous? They don't like real statues because it reminds them of our society's merit-based system. They want a society based on equity, where achievement isn't celebrated, equal outcomes are. So
he's saying things like, well, why didn't they make her healthy? Or why didn't they make her this? Why didn't they make her that? Meanwhile, all throughout history, actually, up until just like maybe a decade or two ago, what was considered attractive was the woman that had more meat on her. That was the standard of beauty. It wasn't until recently that the standard of beauty has become something different. So I don't know what he's talking about, like healthy. And so the point being, this is the warning that I'm giving you guys, okay? This is part of what I mean when they say, it looks to me like they are really wanting us to go back to this enslavement times. Okay, they want you to go back to enslavement, basically. That's all this is. So you can kind of see how the rhetoric is pushing more and more for very racist remarks, very racist kind of tendencies. So you can kind of see how it's almost like they're trying to rage bait, So the way you try to get back to more of an enslavement mind processing type of functioning is by dividing first. Okay, so that's what this is. I don't know. I mean, because I don't see what that has to do with it. What do you mean healthy? It's a statue. So you're talking about a statue. So basically, if you're saying something about healthy, you're saying that a whole race of people aren't healthy. I don't really know what that's supposed to mean, right? So, but I don't really know why. If even if you wanted to make that point, or even if you had a point, I don't really know why you would go about trying to make your point in this way. See what I'm saying? Like, it just was such a yeah.
They celebrate mediocrity instead of triumph. Our nation has hundreds of statues honoring Black Americans, as we should. Harriet Tubman, Duke Ellington, Jackie Robinson, Rosa Parks. We could go on and on and on. But they've built a statue in Times Square. They could have done it for Michelle Obama or Kamala Harris or Oprah Winfrey. Usually you have to earn a statue. I'd give one to Jalen Brunson. He's carrying the Knicks on his back. Anyone but a fake lady.
Oh my God, this guy might be gay, because I'm not really understanding. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, these males are DL no matter what. I'm trying to tell y'all, like, they can't help themselves. It's because they admire themselves so much, and they literally think that they are above anything and everything, right? They think they are gods. They are above women. They are above nature. They are above everything else. They end up falling in love with each other. Okay, imagine a male calling another male's body the epitome of human form. It's innate. It's within them. They cannot help it. They are gay. Okay, like over 95% of them are completely DL. Okay, and this is a DL male right here. And they tell themselves, all you have to do is stop and listen. Okay. Out of all the statues, you could have even chosen like a statue of Lady Justice and been like, oh, this is the epitome of human form. You picked a male's body to say that about, telling me, look, sir, the only problem that you're having is that you're gay. You're in the closet potentially, right? So this is how the males function. Okay. So you have to understand that, like, he's like, oh, we could have picked this and that and that. They obviously put this thing up on purpose. They put it up on purpose because they wanted to. If I were in a position where I was trying to make a point, if I were rich, if I were one of those rich elites, YT male, and I'm thinking to myself, I really want to make a certain point. I want to really make a certain point to show people what I want them to see, right? This is pretty smart. This is kind of something that I might come up with, okay? As far as like, okay, we put this on here. Now we put this statue up here. Now we have an excuse to say this or to say that or to talk about it in whichever way we see fit as far as talking about it. Okay. And that way we can start trying to push the narrative. Okay. We can start trying to push the language or what we want the people to hear or to think. Okay. So I think, that's the main warning that I will issue. I don't have too much to really say about that, but that's the main warning I would issue on that. Hi, Amanda. Thanks for joining. Hi, Lovecraft. Thanks for joining. Yeah. Super gay. It's insane. They can't even help themselves. Imagine out of all those statues that you named, you picked Michelangelo, a male's full-on naked body. And then you say out in public, this is the epitome of the human form. This is what I'm trying to tell y'all. Like, when I say these things, most women will not know. They'll be like, no, he doesn't seem, it wouldn't even cross their minds. But these males are totally so epically gay. It's not even worth your time. It's not even worth your time. It's ingrained in them. They cannot help it because they see themselves and they see each other, okay, as the epitome of like this God-like entity. Okay. They admire each other. Everything they do amongst each other is to impress each other. Okay. They do not like women. They don't like women, point blank and period. Okay. And it's even like I keep saying, from a subconscious level. You see how that just kind of like came out. He probably didn't even think twice about that. Michelangelo, that's the epitome of the body. That's the epitome of the human form. Michelangelo, let's take a look, y'all. Like, it's like, I say this all the time, and I'm like, a lot of people think I'm just saying stuff. This is the epitome of the human form. This is what he describes as the epitome of the human form. This right here. Okay. So the males, whether you like it or not, whether they like it or not, the males are complete homosexuals. I'm so sorry, but that's the truth. They're gay. They cannot help it. They cannot help it. Okay. Even the ones that haven't done anything with another male, completely gay. All the way from a subconscious level, all the way out to the truth. And as long as you are aware to just listen to, just all you have to do is listen to them when they speak, and don't ignore the obvious signs, they won't even be able to lie to you. Then you're like, sir, so are you gay or what? No, I'm not gay. Like, no, why would you say that? And why would you say that? Well, because you just, out of all the statues, out of all the pictures, out of all the examples you could have given, you chose this guy. And you just described him as the epitome of the human form. Based off of your patriarchy, aren't women supposed to be the ones that are supposed to be wearing makeup, wearing lipstick, doing their hair, blah, 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 so they look good? So they are supposedly like at the top of that chain. But here you are saying that it's a male. So if it's a male, then what do you care? Why are you commenting on this statue? What is your problem? If you view the male form as the epitome of the human form, then why is this degenerate commenting at all? Why should we care what you think about a woman's form? You're literally gay, sir. We don't care what you think. You're commenting on a woman's form and you don't even like women. Okay, so you got to pay attention to all these things because it goes more in depth than that. But I just wanted to issue that public service announcement so you can start thinking about it. It goes more in depth than that, but that is to help you start thinking about it even more in depth. What's this about? What does it mean? Right? Okay, so y'all, let's get started on this Diddy, because I literally just put that up because I was like, well, I might as well show you guys what I'm talking about here. Where are we? Okay. So let me share my screen here. Okay. All right. So
hi, it's me again. The statue from Times Square.
This was just funny. I just wanted to like play this for y'all because it was just so funny to me.
Statue from Times Square, and I have one person now I want to address, Miss Shara 7. Yeah, I'm actually really used to like you, Miss Shara 7. You got some good advice, but one thing you is not going to do is talk about my statue and call me a pick-me-sha just because you didn't get picked. Your body didn't get picked. Keisha, I didn't ask for this. They asked for me love. They requested me love, and it wasn't because I was begging for it. That's what everybody gets wrong. Y'all think because I have this body, I'm desperate. You think that I require attention from men? I think who requires attention from men are people like you. People that think they have to dress up, put makeup on, and have to beg for an old man's attention with worms in order to get money or be a gold digger. Yeah, I don't have to do that, love. I get my own money, and it's not by hard work. And I actually figured out the fucking system, and I'm smart enough to know that I don't need a man in order for me to feel complete, like a lot of these women out here. So yes, the statue resembles me. The statue is me, who is a strong black woman, an educated woman, a woman who is tired of people like you and everybody else who have all this stuff to say and making all these stereotypes, and it's coming from my skin color. Bronze. It should have been gold. Because I'm beautiful and I stand tall by myself, and all I need is God. And God is going to send me who I want or who I need. But until then, I'm strong by myself. And I don't need a man to back me. I don't want a man that just to say I have a man. And that's not what the representation is for anyways. It's for people like me who can stand alone and be beautiful and confident in themselves no matter what they have on. So F you, Shara. I mean, I still love you, but F you when it comes to the statue comment. I mean, it was still a compliment because, again, you're thinking about me.
Okay, y'all. So what do you think about that? Oh, you think she's right, Looney 28? Look at this. This is so funny right here. So I was like, I think she did this on purpose, by the way, but it was hilarious. I said, what is this picture in the background? Do y'all see this picture in the background? I'm gonna zoom in. I'm gonna zoom in so y'all can see. What's that? No, I thought I paused it. Oh my god, y'all, hold on. What's this? What's this picture in the background? Do y'all see that? It was in the comments section, and I think I left a couple of comments because we were laughing. Because I think she did it on purpose because you can kind of see different things in the background, and she somewhat strategically put herself where it doesn't look like there's really anything like on the wall to make sure that you can kind of see the rest of the wall. So it was in the comments, and everyone was just dying of laughter because we were like, what is this supposed to? I know. Georgia, I was like, girl, what? So you know me, like I zoomed in, girl. I was like, okay, so I hear you, but what's this? So I zoomed in while I was recording this because I was like, okay, because I didn't know if I was seeing what I was seeing. You know what I mean? I was like, is it just me, or is that something else? Look, I zoomed in. I was like, is it just me, and I was like, no, I don't think that's just me. So I went to the comments section immediately. And of course, everyone has, yeah, it's hard. Exactly. Everyone had already started cracking up about it. And I started thinking, and then I went back to look, and I was like, she did this on purpose because you can tell the way, like she's standing on the side. The only thing on that wall is this one little picture. And it was just so funny. And like, so the comment section was super lit on this because of how we were like, okay, so what's that supposed to be again? All right, so y'all, yeah, I think she has a good point. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good point. I think it makes sense to me. I mean, yeah, it makes sense to me. I really don't see an issue with it. And I like that the video was funny. So there you go. All right. So y'all, let's see. Hi, Guilty Angel. Thanks for joining. Let's go ahead and move on. Let me think if I have anything else to say on it. I just thought her response was a really good one. I love the fact that it was funny. So I was like, we're going to start with this intro for sure. I mean, what do y'all think? There is, like I said earlier, there is a standard of beauty, though. There is a standard of beauty. So what do you guys think? Is the question, no, for real? Looney 28, for real? No! Girl, don't even, because you know me, I mean, like, kind of nosy, like, no. um, there is a standard of beauty, though. So the question becomes, is it the standard of beauty? Is it the standard of beauty that needs to change? Or, oh God, y'all, I had the question so locked in earlier. I was like, ooh, that's a good one. Now I can't remember it. Does the standard of beauty need to change? Or is it the minds of people that would need to change or evolve? Or is it like a society issue? Is it like an environment issue, right? Because, to be honest, the thing is, the reason why it's not, I don't necessarily skew towards the side of like, oh yeah, be skinny, be this, be that, because I understand that, look, all of these things are male constructs. You know what I'm saying? So although, yes, as women, we like our makeup, we like looking good, at the end of the day, they're all still male constructs for the male, to feel like they have a say so in something. And also when women give birth, when they have babies, their bodies change. So I mean, what are we saying, if we're trying to make it seem, so that becomes the question. I feel like is it the environment that needs to change? Is it people's minds that needs to change? Or is it really an issue where it's like, well, that's just not healthy? But I don't really skew towards that, because it's like, okay, what if the woman has a baby? Her body is going to change, right? So then what? You're going to be telling her, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you can't win as a woman. Hi, Stacy. Thanks for joining. Stacy says it's the environment that needs to change to support beautiful outcomes. Clean air, clean food, clean water, good healthcare system. Okay. So Stacy says it's the environment that needs to change. I mean, do y'all agree with that? Or do you think it's people's minds that needs to change? I don't know how these people. I just got like a marketing text. So do y'all think so Stacy thinks it's the environment that needs to change. Do you think it's people's minds that needs to change? Or do you think or do you think it's the people themselves that need to change and become more healthy, or it's women that need to become more healthy or skinnier? Because in the patriarchy, there is a ranking. There is a ranking that's based off of looks, right? I think I agree with you, Stacy, in that I think it's, you know what I'll say? I think it's a combination of the environment that needs to change and people's minds. I think it's a combination of both, as far as like understanding, I say this and I tell you all this all the time. Okay. I tell you this all the time. Women are prey, women are objects in the midst of this patriarchy. Okay. Women are objects in the midst of a patriarchy. Okay. And so all of this is just the objectification of women. All right. So you could really almost like form whatever definitions you want to form. Just like I'm saying, like, okay, these are the questions. Which one is it? Right. It's almost like they just made it up. You know what I mean? Males truly are their own species. Yeah. I call them the male species, like those degenerates, for real. So yeah, like I think that's a good input. You know what I mean? So let me see. Hopefully I didn't forget anything, but let's move on here. That video was so funny with the painting in the background. Oh my god.
Right, men are so close to being pigeons.
No. This is funny too. But let's cover Dusty Diddy first, because that's important. Let me see, y'all. So let's start with the psychology of males, so that we can learn a little bit more these red flags that we might not see. There's just a lot of vile things that we you know, a lot of younger women would not catch on to. And especially with the Dusty Diddy case, y'all, this case is insane. Have you guys been keeping track of the case? Have you been staying updated with the case? Is that something that you find interesting or not so much? I think it's interesting. I think that unfortunately, this is the truth about most males. I think unfortunately, the truth about most males is most of them just end up getting away with this type of degenerate behavior. You know what I mean? I feel like they all do the same thing. I feel like the only difference is most of them end up getting away with it, and nothing ends up happening to them as a result of that. Right? So that's kind of what I think about that. Let me see here, because I can't find the links. Now, the latest thing, one of the biggest things about the case is that the grooming started at the age of 19. Okay. So Cassie started getting groomed at the age of 19. That's where I want us to start, because we talk about sometimes why males like to go after children, right? And this has always been one of the main conversations when it comes to the male species, is that the male species tends to, and we'll see more as we watch the other videos, but the male species tends to go after really, really young kids. Okay. And on top of going after really, really young kids, they will simultaneously insult women and tell women, "Oh, what's your body count? You have a high body count, right? Like, I don't want a woman that has a high body count." Meanwhile, if a woman has a high body count, doesn't that mean that you degenerate male species are the one that tainted her? So wouldn't that make it your fault? If she had, so who is causing the high body count, you know? And then once they do that, they seek out fresh prey, only to repeat the cycle. Okay. So I think one of the most important things is to understand that it's a cycle. It's a never-ending cycle when it comes to the male species. Okay. They just end up repeating the same thing over and over and over again. Let me see, y'all. I can't find it. Let me see. So let's start here. Oh, here it is. Yay. All right, so let's start here.
Today is D-Day for Diddy. The jury seated, the prosecution painting him as a violent monster, the defense claiming all his sexual encounters were consensual. All while the rap mogul's mother, Janice, and 6 of his 7 kids are in this New York courtroom to support him. His legal team speaking outside a court about Diddy's mood today.
Upbeat, ready to have his side told. Nothing for it. Yeah. All right, thank you guys. Thank you.
As Diddy faces life in prison, he is facing off against his ex. She is victim number 1 for the prosecution.
Holmes can be seen grabbing Ventura and throwing her to the ground.
One of the most anticipated witnesses in the Diddy trial, Cassie, is the woman seen in that disturbing video. You've no doubt seen. She is expected to be the pillar of the prosecution's case.
Cassie is really what started this entire domino effect. When she filed her lawsuit back in November of 2023.
It's amazing, because what a house of cards. Elizabeth Wagmeister is a CNN journalist who uncovered that now infamous tape. So it's been difficult to seat this jury. Many potential jurors said in voir dire that they had all seen the tape that came to you and CNN of Cassie being, pulled around in the hotel.
Look, first of all, Sean Combs is one of the most famous people on this planet. So let's forget about the tape for 1 second. it would be hard to see the jury in any celebrity trial
Sure.
because people already have preconceived notions about him, whether they like him and they're a huge fan or whether they despise him.
Cassie's expected to be one of the first witnesses called.
Last time you said you were very confident about this case. Do you feel the same way?
Diddy's lead attorney, Mark Agnifilo, has said the defense will take the position that Cassie herself had a violent nature.
She's pregnant. So that optically is, right? She's, I don't know,
That
create
could,
sympathy.
that could certainly have an impact on a jury. Usually people see a pregnant woman and they say, oh my gosh, when
Just
are you
for
due?
expectant mother.
Exactly. So that could definitely have an impact on the jury.
If the jury convicts Diddy, he's facing life behind bars, charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, and kidnapping. The footage of Cassie will not be the only video evidence introduced. Any other videos that might be entered into evidence that could be effective?
Absolutely. So prosecutors said in a recent hearing prior to jury selection, Billy, that they do have video and audio evidence. And we know that from these federal raids, remember way back when on both of his homes?
I think the fact that she's pregnant is completely insane considering the timing of these cases, right? And it's true, the optics are not good for Dusty Diddy. The optics are not good, right? So the woman's body literally, it's mind-blowing when you think about it. The woman's body literally replenishes the earth only for the woman herself who is replenishing the earth to end up suffering to this degree at the hands of the male species, okay? This is why I say all the time, look, I don't know, the whole kids thing, bringing kids here, probably not a good idea, okay? Probably not a good idea because this world doesn't even like women. You literally hate women, but yet you want women to keep creating you. It doesn't even make sense, right? Because otherwise you got to think, oh, well, a pregnant woman, why would that change the optics? Maybe because it highlights even more how much of a degenerate species the male species is. You know what I mean?
Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy.
How is Cassie? Is she emotional? Is she like feeling okay with this? Is she nervous?
She's ready.
I believe he's innocent, and we're going to fight this case with all of our might until we don't have to fight anymore.
Day one of Diddy's sex trafficking trial came with explosive testimony, bombshell new details from a male escort about the alleged freak-offs. And the testimony was so graphic, Diddy's daughters were seen getting up and leaving. We are on the ground in New York City with the very latest.
I heard about that. The daughters were in there and it got so intense that they got up and left. I heard about that. I think that the daughters should have stayed to listen to everything that the male species, especially their dad, is. They need to understand and they need to know the full story and the full extent, right? Because all of those women that he was espousing didn't really have the choice to just get up and leave. Now, did they? They should know. They need to know.
We're spotlighting a story that has everybody talking. A victim speaking from the grave, giving his own victim impact statement using artificial intelligence. His sister joins us live. Also this hour, defendant Karen Reed's retrial resumes. We're wondering, was John dumping Karen? The evidence seems to point in that direction. We'll talk about it right here on Opening Statements. Good Tuesday morning to you and welcome to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. Are you ready for coffee and in New York City with the latest? Good morning to you, Julie. The first day of the government's criminal trial against hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs, it was filled with graphic testimony describing sexual encounters between Combs, other men, and women. We do expect more of that graphic testimony today when the state's star witness, Cassie Ventura, is expected to testify. Sean Combs in court Monday for the first day of his trial, wearing a light gray sweater, standing when defense counsel gave her opening statement and said, "This is Sean Combs. That's the name he was born with. He's from here in New York, Harlem." She said the government has no business in Sean Combs' private bedroom. We heard from the government, though, that Sean Combs made women like Cassie Ventura and another woman named Jane wear high platform heels, have their nails painted white, dress in lingerie, and as characters as he watched them engage in drug-induced sexual encounters called freak-offs. He forced...
There we are with the white nails again. So for those of y'all that might not know, the white nails are his mom apparently used to or always regularly has white nails. So the women that he assists, he makes them paint their nails white so that it resembles his mom. And I also heard that his mom isn't really his birth mom. So it's a mess, y'all.
Them to do this, says the government, and they lasted from 1 to 10 hours. The second witness on Monday, Daniel Phillips, a male stripper, he testified that Cassie Ventura, the state's star witness, hired him to have sex with her in front of Diddy. He shared explicit details of encounters involving how he urinated on her after she requested he do so. He testified, "We had sex. She had asked me if I was comfortable rubbing baby oil on her. We rubbed the oil on each other first and then had sex, and Mr. Combs was in the corner masturbating."
So, one of the things that comes to mind, exactly, Looney 28, exactly. Complete degenerate behavior, right? And this is one of the biggest threats to women when you are dealing with the male species is oftentimes the male species will try, because one of the things that they love to do the most, okay, what they love to do the most is to get you to participate in the same degenerate behavior that they might be partaking in. Why? Because they don't want you to feel like you are better than them. So, psychologically speaking, surface level psychology, right? So if you partake in the same degenerate behavior, which you've never done, right? Because here's the thing. There's a lot of people that would willingly do this stuff. They're into this stuff. They would willingly do it. Okay. You can find women to willingly do whatever it is that you want them to do that they might be into. You just have to find the right people. Okay. So the question becomes, I'm confused as to why you keep targeting, you being the male species, keeps targeting women that have never done this type of nonsense before, that would never otherwise be interested in doing this type of nonsense, right? Why do you keep going for them? Right? So that's where the question starts. Let's go back to how old Cassie was when this whole thing started. Okay. Remember, she was 19 years old. Okay. Can you even remember? I was so dumb. I feel like I was so dumb at 19 years old. There's no way. Dumb in the sense of it was like all roses and rainbows. Girl, I was walking around like everything was super safe and stuff like that. Like that's what these males try to prey on. Okay. That's why they like children. Okay. Because if they start early enough, there's little to nothing that they can't get you to do, because they know, because they started you off at such a young age, right? They can groom you, right? Yeah, exactly, Stacy. So they're always trying to bring you down. The males know. So here's the thing that's important to understand about the male species. The males know, really the males know that they're not really worth anything. Like the males know their own nature. The males know that they're gross. They know that they're predators. They know that they're degenerates. They literally hate themselves. The males don't even like their own selves. Okay. They do not like themselves. Okay. So they know. Okay. So whenever they attach themselves to women or they're looking for prey, AKA women, the first thing that the male, and we're going to see more because I have like the TikToks and stuff that we're going to look at, right? The first thing that they will go for, the first thing they will try to do is to knock you down several pegs. Okay. They want to drag you down to the same level that they are. Why? Because it's exactly, guilty angel, they're jealous, right? So the males, if they see that you're confident, for example, if they see that you are that you have high self-esteem, if they see that you're good looking, okay, the first things they're going to try to take from you are those very things that they see that you have, but they want or wish they had for themselves. So they'll try to take that from you. So you have to understand that. For example, this is why a lot of males will go around saying idiotic things like, oh, yeah, I like my women natural. Have y'all heard that one? I like my women natural, no makeup, natural. Okay. So the simple audacity of the male species to think that they have a say-so on what women choose to wear on their face, on their bodies, how they choose to do their hair. I had a degenerate male in here like a few months ago or like a little while ago telling me, oh, well, what about your wig? And you should take off your wig. And I said, sir, why would I take off my wig? Like, are you high? You must be in the wrong place because you must have not met me yet. You sound insane. Are you a woman? Like, why are you even talking to me about that? Right? It's like they want to be women. They want everything that they feel like or they think that women come with. Okay. And so a lot of that hate for women and towards women comes from jealousy in the most literal sense, like literally. Most of everything, except if I'm joking around, most of everything I say is quite literal because actually I'm quite a literal person. Okay. It annoys some people, but that is what it is, you know? So when they are going for prey, when they are attaching themselves to women, right? The first thing that they're going to go for is what they consider to be the most, what they consider to be the most valuable to them. The most valuable thing that they feel like you have, that they don't have, okay, is the first thing they're going to reach for. Okay. Oh, you look good, because it doesn't make any sense, right? Whenever they're saying, well, I prefer, my women natural. Who are you saying that to? Because if you then go date women that have a natural preference for not wearing makeup or whatever it is that you're talking about. You do not have to say that to all women like we give a crap. We literally do not care. Right. So got to keep that in mind.
Government asked, how long did the encounter last? Phillips responded, not long. Julie, proceedings get back underway here in New York at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. I want to mention that yesterday when we were making our way inside the federal courthouse, we were in line. We were next in line to go through security, and then we were stopped. And why were we stopped? Well, because family members of Sean Combs had arrived, so security was ushering them inside that courtroom. That's the latest from here. We'll send it back to you. My goodness, what a trial this is going to be. Our thanks to Kelly Craft for that update. We'll have more updates when things get underway shortly. Now, let's dig in To these details, I have two tremendous guests here. One of them I'm so happy to have in the studio. Claudia King is here with us. She's a former law enforcement officer, a domestic violence expert as well. Wonderful to have you at our headquarters. And we have Melba Pearson joining us remotely. She's a former homicide prosecutor and the director of prosecution projects at Florida International University. Melba, great to have you as well. All right, so where do we begin? This explosive testimony, my goodness. Let's just start with your reaction. Claudia, what did you think, please?
I mean, I really wanted to take a shower after I heard those things. Absolutely ridiculous. And I see the power and control. This is an abusive relationship. It's very clear just from what we heard yesterday. In addition to it being disgusting, you can really see that power and control playing out by Diddy.
Yes, power and control, what domestic violence is all about.
Power and control, right? So the younger you are, the more of a prey that you are. Because one of the things that I always say, okay, the only thing that matters to males within their hierarchy is what? Control. And how do they usually get that? Violence. They're violent. Okay, so it stands to reason that when dealing with women, this is the only thing that they know how to use. It's the only thing that they have. It's the only thing they know is violence. Okay, so they will go for as young as possible. Yeah, Looney 28. I think so. I mean, could you imagine? What would happen if they actually let this degenerate male out of jail? It would be insane. Actually, he couldn't have pulled this off by himself. There were several males, even down to his security staff, that would see all of these things happening and would do nothing about it. Even down to his security staff, right? There were so many males involved. This was like a full-on operation, y'all. This was a full-on operation, particularly from mostly males. And then you think about it even more, and there's not really a reason for why they had to involve women into whatever it is that they're going through, because Dusty Diddy is totally gay. So why are you involving women? Okay. They need something to pour all that hate onto. And because they see themselves as gods, right? They're attracted to each other. They like each other. Their first course of action is to grab a woman and pour all that hate onto the woman. He better be buried under the jail. They said that he's having knee problems, girl. Like, they said he was trying to walk with a limp, and like certain times he would like walk with his little limp because he's having knee problems, and then all of a sudden he would drop his pen and really quickly go grab his pen from the floor, and it wouldn't look like there's anything wrong with him. So I don't know if he's faking knee problems or what he's doing out there, but we all know what goes on in jails. So if he's having knee problems or you know, what has he been doing in the jail cells that's causing him to have knee problems? What has he been doing in the jail cells that's causing him to have knee problems? That's what I want to know. You're sitting in jail, you're not even doing anything. So how did you end up with knee problems, sir? You know?
Right? My gosh. Melba, your thoughts, first impressions of what we saw on Monday.
I mean, we thought, first of all, good morning. And we thought what we saw in that awful video from the Intercontinental was bad. But to hear the actual graphic details of what Cassie and others endured day after day for years is just completely heartbreaking. And to hear the sex worker actually tried to offer her aid when, you know, she was being beaten, and literally she went to him for solace, as opposed to the person who supposedly loves and cares about her. She had to jump into the arms of a sex worker, and he was literally like, this is not okay. You need to leave this relationship. And she did, unfortunately, what so many survivors do, which is, I'm okay, it's going to be okay. Basically, I can handle this. And the reality is she really needed to get out because she was being violated and degraded in so many different ways. And my heart just breaks for her so much.
Melba, you're so right. Ours do as well. What's it going to be like today when she is perhaps called? We think that she's going to be witness number 3. We have a clip where we caught up with her lawyer outside of the courthouse on Monday. Let's take a quick look.
How is Cassie? Is she emotional? Is she?
Exactly, Looney 28. Cassie is literally the bravest woman I know. I mean, the strength, I don't even know how, but the strength on this woman, surreal. Okay.
Are you feeling okay with this? Is she nervous?
She's ready.
She is ready. She's also pregnant. God bless her. And visibly pregnant too. So in the later stages of her pregnancy, what will that be like when she is up there? Claudia, your thoughts as you're picturing this, her recounting those horrible events, and then the defense trying to cross her. They made some statements when they talked to the jury in open, making it seem as if, she was good with this. She, it was a little bit walking that line where I thought, they might regret this later. Your thoughts?
I agree with you. I think they need to be really careful about how they handle her. From her perspective, though, this is going to be great for her. And it might not feel like it in the moment when she's on the stand, but this is her reclaiming her power. This is her taking back control of her life and looking her abuser in the eye. And
so y'all, she's only 28 years old now. She's literally only 28 years old now. And this happened for over 10 years. She was in this abusive relationship. And she's only 28 years old now.
Saying, no more. I am strong. This is not happening anymore to me, and I'm here to face you and fight. So I'm super excited for that moment for her. But I do think the defense needs to be really careful how they handle her, because the jury's not going to like it if they attack her.
Right, Claudia. And I love what you said. I had chills as you were talking, saying this is.
Oh, Lonnie says she's 38, not 28. Oh, good Lord. Well, I'm trying to see if I said hi to Lonnie. Hold on. Okay, Lonnie. No, I didn't. Hi, Lonnie. Thanks for joining. No, she's 38. Okay, y'all. She's 38 years old. I thought she was 28 years old. And that just made it. It still makes my heart ache, but it made my heart ache even more because I was like, there's no. Oh, but okay. So she's 38 years old. She's not 28. She's 38 years old. Thank you, Lonnie and Georgia.
Her moment to reclaim her power. Melba, you and Claudia both have so much expertise in the area of domestic violence. As a prosecutor, when you're doing the direct examination of a victim like that, what are some of the things you may be sharing with her behind closed doors about how to be strong and retake your power and let the secret get out?
Well, actually, it's almost more like just be yourself and allow space for wherever you're moving.
Let the secret get out. I said this in one of my previous lives, right? I always try to encourage women to don't hide anything for the male species. Okay, like you're not a punching bag, you're not a journal, you're not an object. Don't hide jack squat for the male species. Okay, if they cheat, tell everybody he cheated, I'm out. He cheated, that's why. He cheated, he's a cheater. He was on the DL, so I left. Don't feel the pressure, especially for the youngins, to hide anything for a male species. That is the further, that's even more of the objectification of women, because these males think that, as women, you're supposed to be the punching bag. You're supposed to be the one that, takes all of the abuse in secret and not say anything. One of the biggest ways, to out some narcissists, especially narcissist males, is to tell everybody. Because one of the biggest ways that these predators thrive is when you keep it a secret, when nobody knows. If you expose it immediately, hopefully before it gets dangerous, before it gets physical, so that way you can hopefully get out of there, you'll be 100 times safer by doing that. Now, if you're already in it, it gets a little bit sticky because you got to prioritize safety, at this point. Like if you're already like deep in it, you know what I mean? But don't ignore the red flags. Catch the red flags and deuce out and tell everybody why. Don't try to make up the reason. No, he was on the DL. I found him on Grindr, so I pieced out. He was on Grindr. You should see the messages. I took screenshots. You want to see? Okay.
Take you. So do your best to get the story out. But if you need to take a moment and cry, do it. If you need a break, tell us. Because again, you're recounting some of the most horrible, embarrassing moments of your life in front of a whole bunch of people you don't know. And that's incredibly traumatizing in and of itself. So to try to have a witness so scripted that you're like, don't cry, just answer the question and that's it. That's not practical and that's not honoring where they are in their journey. So you just want to make them, walk them through what you're going to ask them, let them be prepared and comfortable with that, but also let them know what resources are available in terms of taking a break, tissues. We're going to have a victim witness counselor with you. Are there any family members or other people that you want?
It's day one of the celebrity trial gripping much of the nation. Sean Diddy Combs, once one of entertainment's most powerful moguls, accused of crimes so heinous, he faces the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars. He's denied all charges. And just a warning, this story contains accounts, descriptions, and visual content of actual or alleged events that some may find disturbing.
Can't talk about the case at all.
All eyes are on this New York City courthouse as the federal trial for disgraced mogul Sean Diddy Combs begins.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs goes on trial today. Combs is inside the courtroom along with those prospective jurors.
He faces multiple charges, including racketeering and sex trafficking.
The musician famous for hits like Bad Boy for Life.
Trafficking. That's why I always say, like, the whole of Hollywood needs to be burnt to the ground, never to be revived again. The whole Hollywood needs to be burnt to the ground. Never, ever, ever to be revived again. Because the whole of Hollywood in and of itself is a cult. So in order for Hollywood, the ones that have the most money in Hollywood, to give you the money so that you can have enough marketing to push your art out there, they make sure to get ammunition on you. So if you are, especially if you're a male, right? If you're a male trying to get into the entertainment industry, guess what they're going to make you do? You're gonna have to be gay, sir, to be in that circle. They're all gay because it's a prereq, because they want to, and they need to make sure that they have something on you so that you don't go out exposing them left, right, center. So the whole Hollywood is completely corrupt and needs to be burnt to the ground, in my opinion.
Y'all got drama, the saga continues.
And can't nobody hold me down. Charged with sex trafficking, transportation for prostitution, and racketeering conspiracy, the 55-year-old has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
Today was a monumental day when we're talking about Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy. At one point, he also had the actual key to New York City. So to see him today facing trial on federal criminal charges is completely a downfall of who Puff Daddy, who Sean Combs was.
Prosecutors allege he used his power to force women into prolonged drug-fueled orgies he called freak-offs, and then threatened them into silence.
The freak-offs, according to prosecutors, were these sex marathons. Some of them lasted days, and they were fueled by ecstasy or other party drugs. And women were not allowed to leave.
Highly anticipated at the trial, the testimony of Cassandra Ventura, the singer better known as Cassie, who's at the center of this now infamous video. The disturbing scene appears to show Combs chasing her down a hotel hallway in 2016, knocking her down and kicking her. The first evidence shown to jurors today, videos and photos from that violent encounter.
Everyone was leaning in and focusing and watching this video. Literally, you can hear a pin drop in that courtroom.
A security guard who came onto the scene in the aftermath of that attack testified that Diddy had a devilish stare and Cassie had a purple eye. Another witness alleging he was paid to have sex with Cassie while Diddy watched and told to urinate on Cassie.
You heard so much about sex doing.
So he has a thing for degrading her by having her peed on. Okay. And a lot of males will do this. This one particular example, I feel like a lot of women need to be aware of is when the male will literally ask for you to do stuff with your back door. Okay. If you're not into doing stuff through your back door, be gone, because first of all, he's probably gay. You already know what I'm going to say. You already know. He probably gay. Yes, he is. Okay. And secondly, it doesn't, that is kind of like within the male's hierarchy. So this is how it kind of translates within the male's hierarchy. Within the male's hierarchy, remember that the males organize themselves from top to bottom. It's a hierarchy, right? So the reason why the males, one of the biggest reasons why the males enjoy this backdoor thing, right, is because it's a submissive act. It's an act of submission. Okay. So you have to understand, okay, that if the male is asking you to do stuff like that, first of all, he's probably into other males, because why is he asking you to do that? He could literally just get that from another male. Okay. So you have to think, okay, but why is he asking me? Because he could literally get that you could just get that from another male. It doesn't have to be me, right? He's asking you specifically about that because that act within the male's hierarchy, part of the meaning of that act is it's an act of submission. Okay. And a lot of males, actually the male's natural state is submissive, right? But they just don't want to submit to other women. They want to submit to other males. Okay. But the male's natural state, that's why they're so lazy. Okay. Because the male's natural state by nature is that of submission. That's their preference. That's why when you'll hear like, sex workers, dominatrix talk about this and tell you the true nature of males, because it's within their field, it's within their scope. They've seen it. They know what the true nature of males is, right? It's that submission aspect. And a lot of males prefer to do the submitting. Okay. But when it comes to women, what they try to do is they want to dominate over you because they see you as less than, okay, as below them. It's an act of submission within their own hierarchy. So you have to understand that piece. That's an important piece to understand. There's other pieces like, but this is an important piece to understand as far as what they're actually asking you to do. When they ask you to do things that don't make sense, that you've never done, you're not into, right? It's usually going to be sexual, and it's usually going to have something to do with power and control. You got to keep that in mind as you process through and connect the dots, right? What is one thing that we talk about quite often, right? The most important thing to males is power and control. Okay. So what does it mean if we combine that with males that ask you to do stuff through the back door or to get peed on or whatever sexual weirdness that they want you to do, right? They want to dominate you. They want power and control over you. Okay. So yeah, keep that in mind.
Prosecution's opening, the defense opening. You heard about oral sex. You heard about missionary style. You heard about baby oil being put on people's body. You heard so much. This is not a case for the prude.
Cassie and Diddy were in a romantic relationship for almost a decade, releasing hits like Me and You. Our graphic and disturbing 2023 civil lawsuit against Diddy changed everything, helping spur the federal criminal investigation into the mogul. Diddy has denied these allegations and settled that suit without admission of wrongdoing. Diddy's mother and children arriving to court this morning to support him.
That's the weirdo right there. Diddy's mom, y'all, she is such an epic weirdo. On TikTok, there's starting to be more and more comments about boy moms. Because boy moms, I have to be honest, boy moms are a very big problem. They're a very big problem. Let's just keep it all the way real. Boy moms are a big problem. So sorry, just the truth. At least, there's just very, very few of them that understand, look, what you've brought here is, what's a nice way of saying this? What you've brought here is, I can't think of a nice way of saying this. By bringing a male species here, what you've brought here is a devolved version of the female. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. You know what? Sometimes I watch these back and I'm like, I always think to myself, girl, you took a while to try to figure out how to say it nicely, but then that didn't really sound all that nice. And I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But yeah, they don't understand that what they've brought here is a devolved version of a female, right? And then a lot of them also have a weird attachment to their sons. Again, because they never took the time to learn or understand that, look, the males cannot give you love. They're not capable of loving. That there's no such thing for the male species, not by your definition, which is all emotional and stuff. By the male's definition, it's usefulness. Okay, can you cook? Can you clean? Can you be a baby birthing machine? They don't give a crap about you. Males don't care. They literally do. They couldn't care less. I made a live about how that's probably one of the males' biggest strengths is how little F's they give about anything and anybody else that's not themselves. Okay. So these boy moms don't understand what they've brought here. Either they don't understand or they don't want to understand. They're epic weirdos. I saw a TikTok. And it was like a boy mom commenting something weird. Like she said something super strange, like, I would definitely marry my son. Oh man. She ended up having to delete her TikTok page because everyone was so grossed out by the whole situation. I'm like, are you a pedo? Because we got to call you out too, because we call males out all the time for being pedos because most of them are pedos. So definitely we're not going to have one of you running around claiming that you're a woman, but yet you're a pedo. What are we talking about here? So it was insane. So I don't know. I just feel like boy moms are really weird and strange unless they've done the work to understand, look, this is the nature of the male, right? This is what you've done. This is what you have. This is what you've done. This is what you have to work with. Now let's go from there, right? You just got to be honest with yourself.
Along with Combs' spokesperson.
Obviously, it's a horrific time for the family, so they're just trying to hold steady in their faith and make sure that they take care of each other.
And how is Mr. Combs feeling?
Upbeat. I think, obviously this is a huge deal, and so he's just ready to have his side told in open court.
Inside the courtroom today, Diddy smiling and blowing kisses to his family.
He's very observant as to what's going on in the courtroom, and he's taken part in his defense.
Both sides delivered their opening statements, making their case. The all-female prosecution team saying that Combs used a trusted inner circle to commit crime after crime, including kidnapping, arson, and sex crimes. Prosecutor Emily Johnson saying, this is Sean Combs. To the public, he was Puff Daddy, or Diddy, a cultural icon, a businessman larger than life. But there was another side to him, a side that ran a criminal enterprise.
The prosecution is alleging that it was his inner circle that enabled him to be able to engage in these acts, but also hide these acts from the public and for it to go on for so long.
At least 3 alleged victims of Diddy are expected to testify, including Cassie, and a woman prosecutors are referring to as Jane. During opening arguments, prosecutors alleged that Diddy forced the women to participate in so-called freak-offs and instructed Cassie and Jane how to look, to dress in lingerie, wear tall platform high heels, and have men.
Oh, when they try to control what you wear, because you got to keep in mind, Dusty Diddy is completely gay, right? He's jealous. That's another sign of jealousy. Okay, when they try to control what you wear, it's like they're trying to play Barbie doll with you. Okay, because they don't feel like, well, they're not women, so they can't really wear all these things without. I mean, they could, but at the end of the day, they're not women. So they try to play Barbie doll with you, your body, your physique, everything that you have, to where it fits your dresses and your heels and all these things. They try to play dress up with your body. It's like trying to live vicariously through someone. And that's why it's insatiable. That's a lot of times why the ASUS ends up getting worse, because it's like if you're on painkillers and the pain just won't go away, and you notice, okay, I started with one pill, that's not working anymore. Now I have to take 2. Now I have to take 3. Now I have to take 4, because by nature, they just can't be anything other than what they are. Like, you can't tell nature to turn you into a woman. You're a male no matter what clothes you wear, no matter how much makeup you wear, no matter how much you tell people to call you she, her, you still are what you are. You can't escape what nature has ordained. There's no escaping that. So it causes a lot of internal turmoil for the male species, because after that short, like, oh, wear this, wear that, then they have to go back into reality of what they actually are. It's like, when the males get home and now you got to take off your dress and take off the makeup and look at yourself in the mirror as to what you are, right? So that's the thing. So the male species has a tendency of wanting to, that's one of the reasons why they practice escapism so much, why they're more prone to things like, addiction to video games, for example, right? Addiction to corn, for example, right? They tend to, things that are not meant to be, like things that are just meant to be like temporary entertainment, because they view their own world as being so just so unlivable, intolerable, right? They tend to want to prolong, they tend to want to prolong the made up world, the made up construct. Okay. So for example, with the video games, they'll sit there playing video games day in and day out, right? They end up getting addicted to video games, right? Not trying not to live in the real world and the reality of their own lives, right? Corn, they'll sit there watching corn all day. They try to prolong it. Like it's like the males don't know how to live in reality, right? They're always trying to prolong delusions. And you can even see that within the patriarchy. Everything within a patriarchy is literally a lie. If you put it against nature, it loses every time. So everything that they used to build the patriarchy is like one lie after the other. It's one delusion after the other. So the males try to live counter nature at every step of the way, right? And they use delusions to do that, and they try to extend the delusion to where they never have to come out of it, right? So keep that in mind. Yeah, exactly, Lonnie, I agree. I like that differentiation, actually, because I haven't heard that before. There is a boy mom, then there is the mother of a son, which is a very big difference. Yeah. Because hopefully the mother of a son means, look, I'm aware of what I'm dealing with here. And this is what I always recommend, like to moms that have sons. It's like, you just got to be aware of what you're dealing with and start there if you already have one, and go from there, because that's just the truth. Like XY, all babies start with XX. So if you get one that has XY, they're missing a lot of things. That's why it turned from an X to a Y. Right. So you just got to start with that realization. But the boy moms just creep me out. They're just so creepy. Like, oh, those are the types of moms that will literally get jealous at, like, if he brings home a girlfriend, and it's just creepy.
Cured white nails. Diddy's defense arguing the sexual relationships were consensual and not coerced, saying the rapper lived a swingers lifestyle.
The defense wants to say that these women are all adults. They're all consenting and willing participants in these freak-offs.
Defense attorney Tinny Garrigo saying in her opening statement that may not be what you like to do in your bedroom, but you're not here to judge him for his sexual preferences. She later added, being a willing participant in your own sex life is not sex trafficking.
How can you claim that these are willing participants when you're drugging them? Now that makes no sense to me, because you're literally drugging these people. That's literally the point. You can't drug someone and then claim that they're willing participants. And I'm not even a lawyer. I'm just an individual that's processing through the idiocracy that's coming out of your mouth. How do you claim that it's consensual, yet you're putting all of these people on drugs because you hate what you are? That doesn't make any sense.
That disturbing video was also part of the defense's opening arguments, plainly saying it was an instance of domestic violence. Garrigo saying domestic violence is not sex trafficking. Had he been charged with domestic violence, had he been charged with assault, we would not be here right now.
The defense said that Sean Combs may be a lot of things. He may have committed domestic violence, but those aren't the crimes the defense said that he's charged with. So in effect, the argument is he's a criminal, just not the kind of criminal they say he is.
So notice how they're trying to, basically what they're saying is hitting a woman is not that bad. That's all he did was hit her. It's just domestic violence. That's not that bad. So that's why they're trying to go with that. And this is another example of how the patriarchy supports women being beat down in a suit. They literally don't care, y'all. That's why I always tell you, don't get yourself stuck in one of these marriage contracts with a degenerate species, because they are just degenerates through and through. I'm so sorry, but it's like insane. And they don't care, and they'll lie. Oh, we have all these laws. We have all these rules. It's a lie. It's a lie. Before they even get around to you, most of the time you could have been unalived already. And these males that claim to be protectors, these degenerate males that claim to be protectors, yet she had bodyguards, all males, right? Bodyguards of Dusty Diddy's, friends of Dusty Diddy's that were all males, watching this girl get beat down, doing nothing but watching. But yet these degenerates will come to claim to our faces that they're protectors.
The first testimony of the trial taking jurors to Los Angeles, March 2016, in the hotel where that surveillance video was taken. The first witness, an LAPD officer who worked security at the hotel, he says he responded to a call for a woman in distress on the 6th floor.
When he got to the floor, he noticed that there was glass on the floor, that the vase and the flowers were broken.
The security guard described going back to Diddy's hotel room and standing in the doorway while Ventura grabbed her things. Inside, another man sitting at the corner of the bed.
So from the very start, the first witness brings the jury into that hallway where he said Sean Combs looked at him with a devilish stare, and Cassie Ventura had a purple eye.
Sean Combs tried to offer him money, to give him money to make this go away. And he said he wouldn't accept the money.
The second witness to take the stand, Daniel Phillip, a man who said he was paid to have sex with Cassie on multiple occasions at several high-end New York City hotels, while Diddy watched. The witness said he was paid between $700 and $6,000 each time.
So Mr. Phillip,
I'm sorry, but that is not worth it. Seven to what did they say, $6,000 or something like that? But these things usually go on for days. Like, how is that worth it? And then you end up with all type of diseases, all type of potential like UTIs. Like, that is nothing. Like, and you have to be drugged up the whole time. Heck no, that makes no sense, right? That's not even any money. And notice, y'all, how every time what he seems to do the most often is watch. Why is he just watching? Why is he just watching? It's the jealousy piece, right? It's the jealousy piece. That's why he's just watching. He's trying to live vicariously through her. He sees like what she is, and he's very, very annoyed, pissed off that that's not what he is. He can't have that. He can't be that. Okay. He likes males, likes sleeping with males. He doesn't, instead of just going and sleeping with other gay males, there's tons of gay males out there, right? I mean, you literally, this doesn't even have to be an issue. Like, most of y'all are gay. You could just go get a gay male, right? He will insist on using Cassie as a vessel to proximity to getting the males that he could never get otherwise. Males that maybe aren't just not that turned on by all of these things. You know, males that wouldn't probably not look in his direction. Even if they were, they might find him unattractive, right? So he would use Cassie as a vessel to proximity to males that he couldn't get otherwise, right? Which is why I think that's a big reason why a lot of times this degenerate male was standing in the corner watching. Insane.
agreed to go to the Gramercy Hotel.
Hi, Miss Markin. Thanks for joining.
To do a performance for a bachelorette party. At least that's what he thought. But when he got to the hotel, to the room, that Cassie opened up the door, he did not know that was Cassie, and that she told him, well, it's my birthday and my husband wants to do something special, so can you give me a massage with this body oil, and then we can just take it from there and see where it leads.
Diddy allegedly in the corner masturbating, wearing a bandana over his face. During these meetups, he says Diddy would often give directions and at times tell him to step off and back up because he was going to get some.
Sean Combs's children, his mother, came to court to support him, but when the testimony became graphic, his daughters stood up and walked out. When they came back in at one point, the testimony got more graphic about ejaculation, about urination. That was too much. They turned and walked out again.
Phillip also described witnessing Diddy drag and hit Cassie.
What do y'all think about that? I mean, it's fair that they got up and walked off. I'm not surprised it's the daughters that did it. Where are his sons? That's a real question. Because I haven't heard the sons, like, were they there? The sons didn't get up and walk off if they were there. I haven't heard anything about the sons. You know, but of course it's the women that are like, what's this supposed to be?
Asked by prosecutors why he didn't intervene, he testified, my thoughts was that this was someone with unlimited power, and chances that even if I did go to the police, that I might still end up losing my life. Cassie, who's now 8 months pregnant, is expected to take the stand tomorrow.
Cassie's the case. Cassie Ventura, who has not spoken about this publicly except in a civil lawsuit, is taking the witness stand as a star witness.
Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy.
How is Cassie? Is she emotional? Is she like feeling okay with this? Is she nervous?
Prosecutors have finished their questioning of Sean Diddy Combs' ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in the hip-hop mogul's sex trafficking and racketeering trial in New York City. We want to warn viewers that some may find the details in this report disturbing. The singer says she felt, quote, trapped during one incident she described on the stand. Ventura claims that Combs allegedly threatened to blackmail her with videos from the so-called freak-offs after he found out that she was dating rapper Kid Cudi during a break from their 10-year relationship in 2011. The 38-year-old singer also addressed the physical abuse she claims she sustained, including incidents that left her with bruises and a permanent eyebrow scar. Ventura also described an alleged violent encounter with Combs that occurred at the late singer Prince's house. The defense will begin its cross-examination of Ventura on Thursday. Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges, including racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. If convicted, he faces up to life in prison. For more, let's bring in CBS News national correspondent Drika Duncan, who was inside the courtroom. Drika, thank you for being here. Very graphic testimony again today.
Yeah.
And we did hear testimony about that incident that many people have seen now, the 2016 hotel altercation that took place at the Intercontinental in Los Angeles. Cassie says after that, she told Combs, quote, please stay far away from me. Last half of her testimony Wednesday focused on how she handled the alleged abuse. What do you want to tell us?
So as far as how we even got here, we really learned that last like 5 minutes or so where she describes 2023 being a time where she went to rehab. She said this was after an incident where she said, I didn't want to be alive. This is her words. I didn't want to be alive at this point. She was shooting a music video and she said she thought back to what she says she experienced. And she had these flashbacks. She says, I remember coming home to my children and my husband and looking at my husband and saying, you can do this without me. She describes walking into traffic. She then says through the rehab, she started writing. And when she was finished with all of the writing, she had a book. Because she had this book, she said, you know what? I wanted to share it with Sean Combs. I wanted him to, quote, understand what he put me through. She said in court, I was 22. I would have done anything.
22. Wow. So this is why, whenever I call males demons is because I'm being quite literal. They're literally demons. Part of this story is also what Diddy. I'm going to try not to get too graphic, but the nature of the story is very graphic. Not even story, but like these events. But yeah, after making her do all of these things with random males, then he would make her go into the restroom and take the residue from the males, right? The ejaculation from the males and rub it on his body, y'all. Pretty sure they didn't say that here, but that's what he was doing. Like all the independent channels are covering this story. So he would take the residue from the males and then just rub it on his body. So when I say like, look, these males are demons. You can't be this. It's not normal. It's not human. It defies all logic. Like you literally have to be from the deepest parts of Hades, because even this behavior, I feel like even the devil would be amazed. Like, wow, even I haven't done anything that bad. Which leads me to think, look, the devil, the demons are the male species, because there's no way. Insane.
Thing for him, I did. But it just seemed like it wasn't enough. So she reached out to the chief of staff of Sean Combs, according to Ventura. And that chief of staff told her that Combs was not taking this book seriously. She then said that she was offering the rights to...
He wasn't taking her book seriously. She wanted him to know what he had done to her. So one of the things to keep in mind when it comes to dealing with predator males is that if you get entangled with them, you're always going to feel like something's missing. You're always going to keep trying to get validation from someone that never really cared about you in the first place. Okay. So even though you might know or realize it later on, because you've gotten yourself stuck in the cycle, and now your emotions, the humiliation, the embarrassment, all of those things working together, you're going to be looking for ways to ease that pain. Okay. Even though you might know, look, this guy could care less about you and he was just lying the whole time. In your search for trying different things in order to ease the pain, it's like wanting closure. When women say, oh, I just want closure, I just want closure. But objectively speaking, closure doesn't mean anything. It's not going to do anything for you. No one cares what his reason is. It doesn't even matter, because what's that going to do for you? You know what I mean? Most of the time they lie about it. They lie anyways, if they're trying to make up a reason for leaving or whatever. But it's the same, or not the same, but it's a similar construct there. Right. And the males, notice how he defaulted to shaming her. This is years later. She's out of it. She's like, she had to go to rehab. So we talk about the fact that males use shame a lot. The males will use shame to control you. They've used shame. Actually, their patriarchy has used shame as one of the main ways of controlling women for a very, very long time. And now they are very pissed. I mean, they're pissed that it's no longer working. They're really pissed about that. Okay. But when the males come in, they're trolling women's spaces, women's accounts, and things like that. It's because they're using shame as one of their manipulation tactics. Okay. Notice how that was his immediate default. Oh, I don't care about that book. And they were making fun of her. And it sounds like Dusty Diddy and his friends were degrading her, talking down on her, saying that she couldn't write a book, using shame. Right.
Her story for $30 million. She said, quote, I didn't do research. I just picked a number I thought would alert him. And then, as many of us now know, November 2023 comes, this lawsuit that had many people going, oh my gosh, wait, what is going on here? And so many details were put out in that civil suit. It was settled within 24 hours. We learned today in court, the prosecution said, and how much was that settlement for? She said $20 million. And then the prosecutor asked her, why are you testifying at this trial? She said, quote, I can't carry this anymore. The shame, the guilt, the pain, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong.
$20 million is not enough. That's not enough. That is not enough. I mean, he had people peeing on her. That's not enough. This degenerate male needs to be buried underneath that jail cell.
The rehab, she had said on the stand that she had become addicted to opioids to sort of disassociate from what she had experienced, right?
Yeah, specifically, she did say that she had an on and off again opiate addiction. So she didn't put all of the blame, I guess, if you will, on Sean Combs in terms of providing the drugs to her all the time, because she admitted that there were times where she would just, use drugs with her friends and Combs was not around. But that seems to be some of the source of the pain that she's talking about that she experienced during the course of that nearly 11-year relationship.
We know this case is about an alleged criminal enterprise fueled by Combs' alleged sexual desires. What, if anything, do we learn that speaks to that?
Yeah, so RICO, racketeering influence of corrupt organization, has to do with someone leading a criminal enterprise and other people also being a part of that for whatever that criminal act is. In this case, it states in the indictment to pursue his sexual desires through fraud, coercion, and threatening someone. So kidnapping is sort of one of those, it falls in the element of that. And we heard that based on her testimony when she says in 2009, she got into a fight with Combs. Her mother actually said, I saw something on the internet about this. She knew, Combs was important in her life, even at that point. She said, is this you? And Ventura says no, she denied it. But she said during that time, she was forced to be in a hotel for about a week and she couldn't leave. She said, I wanted to go home. I told Sean I wanted to go home, as she refers to him in court. I told some of his handlers I wanted to go home, but they said I had to stay there. So you have that as a potential element that prosecutors will look at that when they probably do.
See, I told all of these males that I wanted to go home, and these so-called protectors told me that I could not go home. These so-called protectors and providers.
Their closing argument. And then fraud, the prescription drug, she expressed that Combs knew a lot of, or had a good relationship with doctors, and whether it was his name or her name or other employees that they would write the prescription for, because obviously it's a red flag if a doctor continues to write prescriptions for Percocet or oxycodone or whatever it is for the same person. Mm-hmm. So that kind of was a hint to me to one of the elements, because we've heard about the abuse, but it really comes down to this crime, and we expect the defense will be questioning her about what they claim in the opening of their statements, that this was a toxic relationship. This was not criminal.
But also, is it part of the racketeering case that she testified to the fact that employees and people around him were complicit and aiding in this alleged behavior?
100%. I mean, she names a guy, D-Rock, who was with security, who cried, she said, when she was just beat up by Combs and he found her. She talks about a woman who brought her ice cream because she felt bad after a beating. So she's naming a number of people within his staff that she says she was familiar with that were sort of aiding and helping to keep things hush-hush, that others knew had to do more with the domestic violence, but knew that was happening.
Cross-examination.
So, yeah, it'll be a...
So I think this is the last one that we have to look at for the case here. And then we'll go into the TikTok videos and a little bit more on like the surface level of things that we need to know when it comes to especially the male species, the predator, the predator's psychological makeup, right? But yeah, like I said, all of these people working together, right? And hiding this and able to watch this, and then the male crying while helping hide this degenerate behavior. He's crying to the victim as if he's the victim. It's always surprising to me how males just, there's no shame. They have no shame. Like, you're crying to the victim as if you're the victim, when you are literally hiding, you're literally part of hiding all of these crimes. What are we missing here? Hi, Lux Beauty. Thanks for joining. Lux Beauty says, I don't like her husband. I'm sorry. He seems really into what she's been through. Not a hero. Yeah. Her husband, I don't see what the fuss is about. I left a couple of comments about that on some of the videos that I was watching on updates on this, because you would see a lot of women also saying really dumb things like, wow, I feel sorry for her husband. I wonder how her husband is coping with all of this. And I would, the irritation that would flow within me. I'm like, you have a pregnant woman that's crying and telling you about the experiences that she went through. And you're telling me about the husband and the husband's ego? Like, who gives a crap about that? You know what I mean? And yeah, I don't really care for the husband either. I think that's a good point. I hadn't even thought of that, Lux Beauty, that it's kind of weird, right? Like, he seems really into it. But I think maybe it's because he's, you know, one of the things males love to do is play the hero. Okay. Males love to play the hero, right? So that's probably the role that he's playing, because I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, if y'all know, I heard that her husband's mom was also a Seuss, I don't know if by the dad or by who. So I heard that that's something that maybe he experienced growing up as well. And a lot of times kids will reenact what they experienced growing up, right? And as a kid, if you're not able to do anything about it because you were a kid, a lot of times people, we call it scripts within psychology, right? People will reenact basically their childhood, continuing to reenact their childhood without really knowing it. It's one of the reasons why it's called scripts, right? Without really knowing it, they'll reenact their childhood, maybe trying to fix certain things that might have occurred within their childhood, but they're not able to fix it because they're subconsciously doing it. You know what I mean? So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But I don't care about the husband, because the way I view it, it's like, why would I care? He's not the one that had to go through any of it. Like, he's not the victim. He didn't have to go through any of it. You know, the most that he's maybe helping with is being a support system. So everyone kind of saying, oh, what about the husband? What about the husband? It's like, what about him? You know?
Who is 9 months pregnant, was on the stand for the second day in a row. The jury was shown photos of past injuries. She also testified the freak-offs left her with sores, frequent UTIs, and stomach problems. This afternoon, jurors watched a series of graphic images from freak-off sex parties involving Diddy and Cassie.
According to Cassie, she was embarrassed by it. She even talked about, what would I tell my mom if something like this got out? There was a text message shared from 2017 where she said nothing good comes out of freak-offs. And then she says, you treat me like you're Ike Turner. And that was a nod to the abuse that she says she suffered.
I survived what I've been through. For the third day in a row, jurors watched hotel surveillance of Diddy abusing Cassie. The full unedited 15-minute version was entered as evidence and shows moments we hadn't seen before. Cassie,
the way he threw her
barefoot in a
down
dark
like a
hoodie,
rag
waiting
doll
for
is
the
insane
elevator
to me.
and using the hotel phone. And this security director, responding to the attack, took these pictures of the aftermath: broken vases and marks on the wall. And this awkward moment with Diddy and Cassie from the 2018 Met Gala is going viral.
Is there anything that you may want to confess tonight before you go in?
I keep everything right here.
There you go.
Or right here.
There you go.
Something else happened today in court that was worth noting. There were messages where
The way he looked at her, that threatening look, did y'all see that? The way, like, he was literally, and she didn't even say anything. The way Cassie described it was he would often just start beating her out of nowhere. Like, there was a time where she was taking a nap, and all of a sudden, Dusty Diddy came out of nowhere and just started hitting her, beating her down to the ground. It's like she hadn't even said anything. So it's the jealousy. You see how they were interviewing her and asking her questions and asking her how she felt. And what it looked like to me was he was getting jealous of that, because she was getting all the attention. And you could tell the guy's gay. Look at him. He got the earring. That's why I said in my last live, be careful, beware of males that wear earrings. Okay. And I say this all the time because, you know, gay males are very dangerous when they're on the DL, particularly, I would say, because a lot of them are going to be jealous of you because they're not even living out their own truth. You know what I mean? So you got to really be careful. It's very dangerous. Okay. So he's obviously jealous of her. And he was just he was literally mean mugging her as if it were a cat fight or something. Y'all, it's like as if it were a cat fight. Let me see if I can. Look at how he's looking at her. As if, you know how when women fight each other and they're mean mugging each other, that's exactly what he's doing here. And she didn't even say anything. They're interviewing her. They're asking her questions. So it's jealousy through and through. Totally crazy. So this one's almost over, and then we'll get into the next, the last section, the last segment.
The prosecution asked her, why would you say that if you didn't really want to do it? And she explained that she said those things because she was fearful of Combs and because she wanted to keep the relationship going.
Yep. So, you know, that's why I always say, like, once you are, you don't want to be Pygmisha, right? You need the self-esteem, because once these males start with you, they start knocking out your self-esteem to make you feel like you're not going to really be anything without them there. Meanwhile, it's the other way around. They're not anything without you there. They're literally feeding off of you, feeding off of your energy, feeding off of everything that you come with, especially as a woman, because they can't attain it by themselves because they're not women. So you got to be careful, not let people feed off of you. All right, y'all. So let's see the third segment, the last segment. Let's go into it now. I need to go get my Lilith statue because I have a little surprise in here for y'all. It's super kind of funny. Oh, let me share my screen. Hold on. Okay, perfect. Alrighty. So y'all, let me know if you have any other thoughts on that. We'll keep an eye out on this story because this is something that happens on a regular basis when it comes to even, you know how I always say regular males do the exact same thing as rich males do, except for the fact that regular males aren't even rich. So when you start thinking about it in that way, you start realizing it doesn't even make sense for you to be dealing with any of these males, especially the regular males, because they'll cheat on you, they'll put hands on you, they'll assuse you, and they're not even rich. Y'all, they don't even have any money on top of everything else. So it's in the male's nature. It's in his nature, right? How do I, hold on, y'all. Okay, there.
Hi, it's me again. The statue from Times Square, and I have one person I want to address, Miss Share 7. Yeah, I actually really used to like you, Miss Share 7. You got some good advice, but one thing you is not going to do is talk about my statue and call me a Pygmisha just because you didn't get picked. Your body didn't get picked. But I'm the Pygmisha. I didn't ask for this. They asked for me love. They requested me love, and it wasn't because I was begging for it. That's what everybody gets wrong. Y'all think because I have this body, I'm desperate. You think that I require attention from men? I think who requires attention from men are people like you. People that think they have to dress up, put makeup on, and have to beg for an old man's attention with worms in order to get money or be a gold digger. Yeah, I don't have to do that, love. I get my own money, and it's not by hard work. And I actually figured out the fucking system, and I'm smart enough to know that I don't need a man in order for me to feel complete, like a lot of these women out here. So yes, the statue resembles me. The statue is me, who is a strong black woman, an educated woman, a woman who is tired of people like you and everybody else who have all this stuff.
I do not understand my, okay. Here we go. Let's start from here. Okie doke. All right.
Right, men are so close to being pigeons. Like, I know that's wild, but it just all like necked out. Like, my necked out as fuck. Like, just necking about like this, looking for fucking seeds on the floor. That's what men look like to me. Just a fucking long neck, hunchback, pigeon bitch. Like, just, you know, and they just waddle about. That's what it is. I hate that so much. Even driving. And they just look so confused all the time. Like, do you actually...
I feel like we didn't catch that one. at the very beginning. Y'all, I watched this video like 10 times while I was driving home because it's so funny.
Right, men are so close to being pigeons. Like, I know that's wild, but it just all like necked out. Like, when I just necked out as fuck, like just necking about like this, looking for fucking seeds on the floor. That's what men look like to me. Just fucking long neck, hunchback, pigeon bitch. Like, just, you know, and they just waddle about. That's what it is. I hate that so much. Even driving. And they just look so confused all the time. Like, do you actually have a clue what's going on? Just fucking going around like this. You don't know, do you? Just admit it. Mate, men are
That's so funny to me.
pigeons. Like,
So y'all, let's go in. Let's go in and start with this one right here. We're gonna start with a prayer for the male species.
Dear God,
yeah, they're
for destructing.
Exactly. I thought that was so on point because when I thought about it, I feel like if you think about it, when y'all go out, think about it and see what you notice, because I feel like males do walk around looking confused a lot of times, right? They walk around looking confused a lot of times. And I thought about it and I was like, she's right. Why do they walk around always looking so confused about everything? Like they don't even know where they are. They don't know what planet they're on. They walk around always looking confused. So we're going to say a prayer for the males before we get started. The only thing I want us to do is switch out the God for Lilith. And we'll kind of see, we'll see how that goes, y'all. Let me see here. Okay.
Dear God, thank you for disrupting this man's peace with women who complain every single day. Please make sure this man never finds 1 ounce of peace, and make sure he never finds a woman that doesn't complain. Please make sure he is surrounded by the most beautiful and the smartest women who just complain and never give him any attention. May he never have 1 ounce of peace, even in his own home. I hope he hears his loud neighbors. If he lives in an apartment, please give him the horrible upstairs neighbor that he deserves. May his work be nothing but complaints. May his friends and family always vent to him and complain, but never ask him to hang out. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Lilith. Amen. Thank you, Lilith. Amen. Okay. And the congregation said,
sorry,
oh man.
Building in the middle, so I'm here to just, reiterate it.
Yup, exactly, Georgia.
They're trying to take your light. It's fuel.
I have 2 of them.
Vampires. They're fucking vampires. Run. Oh my God, the devil's in your house. Run. Yeah, I pay all my bills. I pay for all my upkeep. It's just me paying for everything. You independent bitch. You need a man. Whoa, okay, well, how about you pay for something? You gold-digging bitch. Yeah, I pay all my bills. I pay for all my upkeep. It's just me paying for everything. You independent bitch. You need a man. Whoa, okay, well, how about you pay for something? You gold-digging bitch.
Do you know the number 1 offender biological?
Okay, so now we're going into the core.
Causing the war and destruction. They are also the number 1 offenders. We're in fucking hell with men. I don't think anyone can really grasp how fucking horrific it is, but we are in fucking hell with men. And then on top of that, they like to come to my fucking page and say it's not all men. They add nothing to the fucking conversation about these issues. They add nothing to the conversation about violence against women. They add nothing to the conversation about these atrocities to children. They just care about defending men. And that's who men are in the patriarchy. They will defend each other until the death, okay? And if you speak up about it,
You are no longer an ally in the manosphere. This violence has been going on for thousands of years, and the perversions have also been going on for thousands of years. Even Bibles are full of the word that I probably shouldn't say on here, PDF files, okay? Everything that the men have created has been destruction. The good men outnumber the bad men. You would think that we wouldn't see these crime statistics, correct? You would think that there wouldn't be male-on-male violence, male on women, male on children. You would think, and there also wouldn't be males unaliving themselves. But because all these problems are ignored and then covered up with this not all men shit, we never get to the root of the problem. Because we are in a patriarchy full of hierarchies, the men protect their enemies. The men create allies with bad men so that they are not the next victim.
So I think the most important things about this is it kind of goes well with the Dusty case as an example. Okay. For those that say, oh, not all males, not all men, but yet somehow it's most men. So then you start thinking, okay, if it's not all men, then how is it somehow most men and there doesn't seem to be any good ones amongst you? So then you start to realize, oh, it's because they're all scared of each other. And they don't actually protect women. They don't protect jack squat. What they do is actually literally the opposite of that, right? So what the males end up doing is they will end up enabling and supporting and defending all of their predator behavior, their predatory behavior, all of their bros. They'll end up defending all of their bros so that they don't become the targets, right? So that they don't become the victims, right? And also defending themselves in the case that they have or do exhibit some variance of said behavior, such as being a PDF file, for example. So the males defend and protect each other through anything and everything, even down to being pedos. Okay, that's one of the most important things. And you can see that in the Dusty Diddy case. Like I said, males everywhere, hiding everything that was going on, hiding everything that was happening. And not a single one of them did anything about it.
One of my last videos where I mentioned that women are the primary caregivers of children and the men are not, men still somehow are trailing the women in abuse. Even though women are the primary caretakers, the men are afraid of each other, and it's been like this for thousands of years because they would rather be safe than do the good thing. The guys in this video, they know the men above them are dangerous. At least the two men in this video are talking about it, at least. Talking about these issues is literally the bare minimum. So all the losers that come to my videos and try to defend not all men, they're on the list of the men who would do bad things. So we are literally in hell. If we start looking at history through a totally different lens, then we will see that I think women were trying to just have girls, or their bodies were just having girls. It's kind of why they had to make these laws to only give birth to boys. But throughout history, they were literally trying to force women to conceive males. For this little patriarchy game where they had to give the land to the boys of the family. Sometimes in ancient history, China, Islam, where female infanticide exists. So it wasn't just that they wanted boys to give property to, it was that baby girls were being unalived. Hatred for women that starts before a child is even born. Honestly, I'm glad that they got to leave this place, hopefully, and not fucking go to another body and reincarnate, because this place hates girls. This place is literally hell. I think even the women that started like the 4B movement in South Korea know this to be true because their birth rates are not declining. The males outnumber the girls because they were also doing sex selective abortions. I think our bodies were already trying to make just girls. Patriarchy's biggest fight has always been the fight to control women's bodies and to basically use us as incubators for next generations. As the men think that they could just keep starting wars and violence and unaliving women, and that women will just bring a new generation here. Stop having fucking babies with them.
Yeah, I pay all my bills. I pay for all my upkeep. It's just me paying for everything. You independent bitch! You need a man! Whoa, okay, well, how about you pay for something? You gold digging bitch! Yeah, I pay all my bills. I pay for all my upkeep. It's just me paying for everything. You independent.
So y'all keep in mind that here's what I'll say with this, actually, because that's why I put that little break in there, because I didn't want to forget to say this. We know by now that the XY chromosome is currently devolving, okay? And based off of the information that we have, it turns out that less and less males are actually being birthed, and more women are now being birthed. So meaning it used to be almost equal, but for some reason that we won't go into today, because we won't have enough time to go into it today, it's more and more, we're seeing that more and more of the babies that are being birthed are becoming are female or women. And the amount of males that are being birthed is reducing in number, right? So what she was talking about there, is that even by nature, we can kind of see, it's almost like the woman's will, right? Like nature in and of herself, basically saying, look, this is just not going to work for us with all these males here. And that combined with the continued fact that the XY chromosome keeps devolving is, quite frankly, eradicating the males at a higher rate than we thought was going to happen. Okay, so this is what she's describing, especially with what we've seen that the males are capable of without a care in the world. And she named China as an example. With they were unaliving baby girls left, right, center in masses. And they did that for over, I think it was over 30 years that they did that. They did that for over 30 years. And now they have no women over there. There's literally no women there. And I agree with her, because I thought that too, where it's like, this is not a good world for them anyways. I mean, this is garbage, right? So at the very least, they didn't have to go through whatever this is supposed to be, right? And now the males over there are all fighting each other, all looking dumb, you know what I'm saying? So that's what she's referring to. But based off of the numbers that we're seeing, we're slowly starting to see that there's less and less males being birthed for some reason. And there's reasons, there's like hypotheses surrounding that. But more and more of the women, more and more of the children that are being birthed seem to be women. So I just think that's pretty interesting, right?
Bitch, you need a man! Whoa, okay, well, how about you pay for something? You gold digging bitch!
I know that what I'm about to say is really sexist, but I don't think men are capable of love. Like, I'm sorry. I don't think they're capable of experiencing unconditional love. It's always conditional. Like, everything I've seen, everything I've experienced, everything I've heard, like, oh my God.
If men can be promiscuous and sleep with whoever they want to sleep with, but women can't be promiscuous and sleep with whoever they want to sleep with, or they'll be considered 304, then who are the men supposed to sleep with? Each other? Because it seems to me like men are saying, yeah, we love to have sex with women, but we don't want the women to have sex with us back, because if so, then they're a 304 or they're easy. So how are you supposed to naturally be a man and be yourself and do what you want to do with multiple women if you don't want women to participate? Because I guarantee if all women say, okay, well,
we don't want to have sex anymore, you guys will go crazy. So it's illogical. Just like a man, okay, say we have 50 women in a room with 60 men, maybe even 55 men. All 55 men and 60 women engage with each other somehow. Basically, they all have sex with each other, right? But then men get at a certain age or a certain point in life where now they're like, okay, I want to get married, but I want to marry a woman a woman that has not been touched. But at the same time, men want to touch all women before they even get married. So how is that possible? So now I understand why men go after children, because they're fresh meat. They say this out of their own mouths. They want children that has not been touched. I want a girl below the age of 25 or 21 because they've already touched all of the other women and poisoned those women in their eyes. Now they want to poison the fresh meat. Men are showing us that they are predators. We have to, we just listen to them. They're screaming at the top of their lungs that they are predators.
I don't know what's not clicking, but people are still commenting. Guys, I should say, are still commenting on all my videos. This is unattractive. This is not what guys are looking for. No one cares. Literally, no one cares. I'm not giving dating advice. I'm maybe doing the opposite of that. I'm literally trying to tell women that, you might as well be yourself, because they're going to be crazy to you either way, okay? And if you live your life seeking male approval, male validation, male acceptance, you will do it in vain, okay? There's no prize. You don't get anything. If you're submissive and you do what you want and you cater men, you still will never be on their level in their eyes and in the way they treat you. So you might as well be yourself and prioritize other women. But the comments will still be like, well, no guy's going to think this is attractive. Me if I cared. It's crazy that you think that's the most important thing in a woman's mind is being attractive. It's obviously not the most important thing in your mind. God.
Every single time there's...
So more and more women, more and more of this is just popping up on my feed, on my TikTok feed, because I have my TikTok feed pretty tailored, right? And I'm seeing more and more women coming on here and saying, yeah, I'm good. It doesn't make any sense. As I process through this, the nonsense that they say, it's making less and less sense. So I wonder what these males are gonna do, because we already know that they're getting violent. We already know that they're trying to get women to exit the workforce. And one of the strategies that these males are trying to use, and we're starting to wrap up here, because I think there's maybe a couple of minutes left on this video. So as we kind of start to wrap up here, one of the tactics that we know that the males are starting to use is they are starting to try to sound like they are catering to women. So the males are starting to try to put videos out there, especially through TikTok, and they'll say things like, well, why would the woman want to work? Why should she have to work? She should be able to sit by the beach and relax and enjoy her life. So they'll say things like that, trying to reel women in, right? Like the predators that they are. And they're starting to try to do that more to see if that, it's like, again, it's like a caged, when an animal gets caged and they start just trying anything and everything, like a last ditch effort, right? And so I'm starting to see more and more of these males pop up on platforms trying to pretend as if they really give a crap about women or any woman. Oh yeah, she should be able to sit by the beach and be able to relax without having to work. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to get women to exit the workforce. And what they're not telling you when they post those videos is, yeah, but of course, you would still have to cook. You would have to clean. You'd have to take care of the kids. Who else is going to do that? Because I guarantee you, if you were to ask them, oh, okay, so does that mean that you're going to hire a cook? Are you going to hire a cleaner? Are you going to hire a 24/7 babysitter? Because what time is going to be left for the woman to enjoy her life and all this other stuff when she's working 24/7, cooking, cleaning, taking care of kids? So they think they're smart. This degenerate species thinks that they are so smart. Right? So they're coming on here trying to like say, oh yeah, like, and it's the same playbook every time. The lying. Just lying and lying. And it's like, so what they just don't, they can't even think into the future. Like, what are you going to do? What if this actually works and women start like dating you again or marrying you again? What are you going to do once the women get in there and see that you lied again? Oh no, this isn't what you promised me. I end up working and cleaning and doing all the same things. And I'm working harder than you because I'm working 24/7. What time do I have to sleep at a beach somewhere? That doesn't make any sense. What are you going to do? Because you've already done this playbook. It's like they can't even, they're not even creative. So you have more and more of their degenerate species coming on here. Oh yeah, why should, after over a decade of them trashing women online, and they're still doing that in their manosphere. They're desperate. And that's one thing that I'm noticing. It seems to me like the males are getting more and more desperate. The patriarchy is getting more and more desperate. It's insane.
Conflict and all the bad things that are happening in the world, you know what the common denominator ends up being? Everything points to men. It's literally because from the get-go, they don't know how to share resources. They only know how to fight. They have no understanding of conflict resolution, sharing, how to live in a society. I mean, some of them do, but they really, really struggle with that. But it just blows my mind. I'm thinking literally everything that's happening in the United States, in Palestine, in Congo, in Sudan, everything comes down to the fact that men are in charge, and when they're in charge, they don't know how to lead, and they don't know how to set up society in a way that actually shares and is for the common good of everyone. This is why I just don't think that they should be in places of power. Every single time that
women are brainwashed into believing that being objectified is the same thing as being loved. And so their husbands objectify them and they think that they're being loved. This works out really well for straight men because oftentimes straight men, it doesn't matter who they marry, they just end up living alone for the first time. Or they move out of their parents and they realize that they don't want to take care of themselves. They want a wife to do it. And so at whatever age that is, they look around and they pick as if they are picking something off a grocery shelf. An object. And that woman has been socially conditioned to believe that being objectified is being loved, right? So man sees woman, any woman, at the right time when he realizes, I would like someone else to do life and do all this for me, not with me. So that's what he is looking for, whether he is like emotionally intelligent enough to be able to be aware of that and then voice it. She doesn't realize that she's not being loved because she thinks she is being loved. And then wife ends up being a human with needs or gets sick or gains weight or gets pregnant and starts to look different and have other needs. She no longer exists to serve him, and he can't handle that because that's not what he signed up for, right? He wants a mom. She can't understand this because she thinks he loves her. So they either get a divorce or they have a baby.
So the main thing there is something that I say often, okay? Males look at women as objects to be used. And any male that ends up getting with a woman, it's usually because they don't want to have to take care of themselves. They don't want to have to do any work. They don't want to have to do cleaning. They don't want to have to, do laundry. They don't want to have to do any of these things, right? It's like weaponized incompetence because it's not that they couldn't do it. is that they feel like those things are below them and they shouldn't have to do it. That's the woman's job, right? That's the woman's role. So when males, marry a woman or get with a woman, typically over 95% of times, they're not doing that because they care about you. They're not doing that because they love you, because males are not capable of love. You stop doing all the things that you're doing. Stop cooking, stop cleaning, stop paying 50-50 nonsense. Stop asking him about his day or what's wrong with him. Stop doing all the things that you're doing, and let's see if this male sticks around for you. You could still be the nice, caring, loving person that you are, but stop doing like the slavery work, right? Cooking, cleaning, being a therapist. Stop doing those parts. Just be you. And let's see how long said male sticks around. They look to use women. So whenever, this is why I always say with the marriage thing, it's the easiest example I can give. When males marry, they're not marrying because of love. They're not marrying because, oh my God, I really want to be with you, and you're just this exceptional person that I view as a human being, blah, 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 blah. That's not the reason that they're doing it. They're doing it based off of how useful they perceive you to be to them. And a lot of times they will be looking to replace their mothers. That's why you'll hear males always or often say things like, well, she changed, or you changed, or it's like, were you expecting her to not change? Do you think she's a robot? Like, they do it subconsciously too. This is like a subconscious process, which is why she said whether or not the male realizes that, that's what's happening. So a lot of times, one of the scariest parts is it's actually subconscious for them. Like the examples that I make whenever we are watching, interviews that have the males that are supposedly higher tiered or higher level doing the interviews, like maybe the popular ones. I don't know if they're actually higher level or not, but doing interviews and stuff. And then the male will say something that's clearly misogynistic and be none the wiser. Like there was this one that we were watching the other live where the guy was like, oh yeah, just keep sending her letters. I mean, he's telling a male that this male slept with his girlfriend or his wife's stepmom. And then the male's advice to this male that slept with his wife's stepmom is for him to start writing the wife letters. Write her a letter every day for 30 days. It's such degenerate behavior, so you can pressure her. So you can pressure her into forgiving you for sleeping with her stepmom, and he was trying to be helpful. What it is it's subconscious for them. It's subconscious, right? No matter what, they can't escape it because it's ingrained in their patriarchy. Okay.
When a man is like, oh, can I come over? Can I come see you? And then you say no, and then they say why? Let me give you a list of reasons why the answer has always been and will always be that evermore. Starting off strong with number one, I'll have to let you in. I don't want to. It's pretty self-explanatory. I don't want to walk down the stairs. I'll let you in. Number two, when you get inside, you'll take your shoes off. And you'll put them on my floor. The floor that I've just scrubbed on my hands and knees. Big size 9, 10, 11, 12 if you're lucky. Clod up in.
Yeah, and when you let males come over and when you let males into your space, you might want to understand and be aware that usually they're not going to want to leave. When you let males into your space, say you let them come over to your place or whatever the case may be, you might want to be aware that usually it's going to be hard for you to get rid of that male, because he's going to be trying to benefit from being in proximity to you. Like she's saying, scrubbing her floors, clean environment, food in the fridge, right? You're going to have a hard time. That male is going to become hobosexual.
Great big creased up shoes on my floor. Number 3, you'll set your car keys down on my side in one of those miniature bottles of perfume that you carry in your pocket because you fucking stink. And you'll put them down, you'll dump them on the side that I've just cleaned. You'll ruin the aesthetic. Number 4, then you'll sit on my bed. You'll make yourself comfy. 10 minutes and you'll wiggle yourself down the bed, maybe even under the covers. You'll start to sweat because it's warm in here. You'll develop a BO, and the BO will start to waft my way.
She said waft my way.
Number 5, God forbid you get thirsty or hungry and I have to go downstairs to the kitchen.
He gets hungry. No. The worst part for me is a lot of times males that infiltrate your space will literally just go in your fridge and eat your food. Oh! Yeah, I could not do it. I could not live with a male species. I just can't. I just cannot. Like the irritation that would swell inside of me if and they're dirty too, so they'll leave their nasty little crumbs everywhere. Like it's different if I'm the one doing it, like it's my house. But for this degenerate male species, like to go in my fridge, eat my food, leave his little crumbs everywhere. Oh, I can't do it. Not possible.
Because your nasty little stomach is rumbling. Number 6, after hours of you aimlessly rubbing the top of my left thigh and grunting in my ear while I've missed the program I put on that I did actually want to watch, you'll want to go. And then I've got to let you out. I've got to go down the stairs and say it was lovely to see you. And then when you leave and I shut the front door, coming in last at number 8, I have to open the windows and stage the entire fucking room. I have to get the Bible out. I have to get the priest to perform a ritual. Just because you did that. Shameless.
Man hates you, and I'm going to give you an example so you know that man hates you, okay? My ex and I, we were driving home from a trip out of state, and we were having a conversation, and he said, you know what, I appreciate about you, Becky. And I said, what? And he said, I feel like we're the same level of attractive, and I feel like we're just equal, and society would view us as equal. And I had to, for a second I was flattered, but then I was offended, because at that point in our relationship, I had felt the ugliest that I'd ever felt. I had dyed my hair blonde because that's what he wanted. He said he loved my natural hair. I had taken all my lashes off because he said, you don't need eyelashes, blah, 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 blah. My hair was red. Everybody complimented me on my red hair. Everyone said, your red hair, this is your color. It's perfect on you. I love your hair. He was around me when people.
So he was slowly pegging her down, telling her, oh, you don't need makeup. Take off your eyelashes, change your hair color. Okay. That's what we were talking about earlier during the live, that the males will try to rip you from the value that they feel like you have, but they are the ones that deserve. Yet they don't have it, yet you have it. No way. They can't allow that to exist. So they'll continue to try to knock you down over and over and over again, knock you down more and more and more. Okay.
Will compliment my red hair.
So I changed my whole appearance. I stopped wearing the clothes that I would wear in the beginning of our relationship. The clothes that initially he was attracted to, you know, like the dresses, the cute short dresses, the skirts, the tight tops, the corset tops, right? I was comfortable in my sexuality. I was comfortable. I felt beautiful. I felt like, yeah, I'm it, you know? And at a certain point, he became so possessive over my body. Like, why are you wearing that? Are you doing that for male attention? Why are you seeking more attention? Why are you seeking, who are you doing that for? Who are you dressing like that for? You know, everything, all those things. And I said to him, why do you think that we are an equal level of attractive? I had to ask him the clarifying question. And he said, well, if you were more attractive, then more attractive men would want to be with you. And I said, more attractive men have wanted to be with me and do want to be with me, but I'm with you. And he said, well, if more attractive men want to be with you, then why aren't you with them? And why aren't they with you? And in my mind, I was like, I got rid of my roster for you, thinking that you were going to treat me better, because in the beginning of our relationship, you told me, you know, I'd love to have a little redhead and have a couple kids with her, move her in, get her a house. I want you to have a soft life, Becky. I want you to have a soft life. I just want to treat you well.
I want you to have a soft life, Becky. I want you to have a soft life. I just want to treat you well. What did I tell y'all? The males are going around. The strategy, the latest strategy that the males are trying to use is this. Okay. And they're doing it on public platforms as well. Oh yeah, you should have a soft life. So they're trying to get women to exit the workforce because they don't want to have to compete with women, while at the same time drive women back into the house so that they can keep women in enslavement underneath their control, so that they can go back to controlling all of the resources and all the money. That's what they're trying to do. And so, and they tell him themselves. You see how it started with him telling all these lies, but yet somehow it's like the males are allergic to truth. It's literally an allergy for them, right? Because you started out by telling this lady that you wanted to, oh, don't forget to smash the like button, y'all. I almost forgot. As we're kind of summarizing here. You started by telling this woman that you wanted a family, you were going to treat her a lot better, You were telling her these things. And now, a few months into the relationship, you're telling her that she couldn't do any better than you. Like, how do you go from, did you just forget that you had to lie to her to get her in the first place? This is what I'm saying. Males are allergic to the truth. When you start thinking about it, you realize how freaking creepy, like the male species are so epically creepy. It's weird. It's creepy, you know? Like, how do you just ignore that or forget? And in your own world, you didn't tell her that you wanted to marry her and have kids and treat her well. Like you don't remember telling her that you want to give her the soft life just to get her to be with you. Like, you don't remember that. And so a few months into the relationship, it turns out what you've been thinking this whole time is that she can't do any better than you, when you yourself had to lie to her for her to be with you. It's just so, when you start thinking about it, it's like, and they believe this. They convince themselves of this. This is what they literally, you see how he's saying these things to her face. Basically, this is also a part of them testing your boundaries. They will continue to push, no matter how many years. They will continue to push to see how far they can push. That's why so many of them end up literally unaliving women and children, because there is no stop. They don't have any stop radar. They have no self-control. There is no control. There is no empathy. There's nothing there. I'm just telling you, like, there's nothing there. Okay. That's why we see the statistics that we see, right? Over 90% of all violent crimes and unalivings against women and children committed by who? The male species. There is no self-control. There's no control there. Okay. And they operate the exact same way in relationships. You know, they'll just keep pushing and pushing to see how far they can take it. And most of them just end up unaliving you and unaliving the children. Right. And that's the thing. So that's the thing to keep in mind, because this male, for him to come back and say to her, oh, you just can't do any better. It's like, and he believes that, but yet he had to lie to her to get her to, it's like, did you forget that? Or did you just pretend that that didn't happen? I don't know how they rationalize through that. This is why I'm saying it's like, it's legitimately, literally demonic behavior, because how do you do that? It doesn't even make any sense.
I just want to be sweet to you. That was the whole beginning of our relationship, right? And then at that point in the car, when I felt my ugliest, I felt the most insecure, I was the most not myself I'd ever been. And then it dawned on me last week, and we've been broken up for, I don't know, since December. It dawned on me last week that he hated himself so much. He felt so inadequate and ugly with himself that he had to knock me down as far down as he could get me in order to feel like he could even have access to me. He could even be worthy of being with me. That's how ashamed he must feel of himself. That's how much he hates himself, that he had to take me from the pinnacle of where I was when he first got with me to I became a completely different woman with him. Completely different. Completely not myself. A shell. Devoid of life and light and brilliance and passion. I was a shell. And last week I had to go, you cannot be angry with this man. You cannot be angry with him, because being angry with men is all my responses have ever been. And guess what? Hating men has gotten me into relationships with men who also hate women. And in our relationship, we took out our hatred for men and for women on each other. And I thought,
I don't think that's what got her in that situation. I think what keeps getting her in these situations is probably a lack of self-love. Because if you have what you need in terms of self-love, you will not put up with a degenerate male. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. Okay. If you have a high level of self-love, you love yourself, you know what your value is, you know what your worth is, you're not going to put yourself on discount. Oh, change your hair, change your eyelashes. You would literally just give him the middle finger and go the opposite direction. Like, who do you even think you're talking to? And who are you, right? So I think it's backwards there. I don't think it was because she hates males. I think she just hadn't, and hopefully she has now, but she just hadn't learned how to love herself and get the validation that she's looking for from herself. So therefore, she keeps chasing males to give her said validation. Right?
I thought, how devastating it is that this man believes that, one, he can only get with attractive women when he coerces them, and two, he feels so ugly and unworthy that I maybe only wanted him for his money or what he could give me, and that's never why I got with him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I would have loved you if you were broke, and now if you go broke, I don't have the opportunity to show you that, but I bet.
Now if you go broke, I don't have the opportunity to show you that. But this is the thing, like, why would you love a male that's broke? If if you love yourself, you're not going to sit around and stick around with a male that's broke and make your own self suffer with a male that's broke in the middle of a patriarchy. They literally built it only for themselves. You know, so it's a self-love issue. And I don't think as of the time of her making this video, she's still not there, because she's saying things like, oh, I would have stuck around and shown you that, but I didn't get the opportunity to even show you that. Ma'am, did you learn anything? Have you learned anything? Show it to yourself first. And once you've shown it to yourself, then you'll understand and realize that you trying to show that to a male as if you owe him something is weird and gross. What has he done for you? What are you trying to show him that for? Why are you trying to put yourself through poverty to show a male that you are willing to stick through poverty for him? Why? What is that gonna do? Especially a male that doesn't even care. Males just don't care by nature, right? So once you start loving yourself, you start understanding, okay, that doesn't make any sense, because I'm here on this earth, on this planet. Why would I want to make myself suffer? Why would I want him to be sitting here suffering with me, when we could just like go our separate ways and probably have an easier time having a better life? Because as opposed to taking care of two, I only have to worry about myself. I only have to take care of myself. You know?
With men broker than you. You know, it's like, but the fact that he hated himself so much that he had to knock me down and humble me and make sure that I was unattractive to any other man, right? You cannot build your life centering everything you do or do not do hating men. And this is the moral of the story. That man hates you.
No, well, she got it wrong, unfortunately. You know, she was close, right? The really where she needs to get to is you cannot build your life centered around men, period. Not hating men. It's not, you cannot build your life centered around hating men. Who cares if you hate them or not? No one cares. Okay. That's not where she needs to get to a point where she decenters males completely. It's like she's having a hard time letting go. Ma'am, just let them go. Like, instead of trying to make exceptions here and there, well, it's specifically because of the hating. No. Just let them go. You can't build your life centering males, period. It's not about whether or not you hate them, right?
That man hates you because he hates himself. And that's sad.
True. That's true.
I, instead of hating him, and I said the last week of our relationship, I said, God, please don't want to hate this man. But I said, that man hates himself so much. I don't want to hate him. I don't want to hate him. I'm going to love him enough to leave him be. And I would have stayed until that man beat me blind. Trying to get him to believe that I loved him and that he was lovable. You cannot love a man more than he loves himself, because he will never love you. He will never love you if he does not love himself. And that's sad. The shame that man feels, you cannot carry it. As a woman, you cannot carry it. And I know we want to save everybody and we want to love everybody back to health. We want to love them through their abandonment issues. We don't want to feel like we're abandoning that. We don't want to add ourselves to the list of people who've hurt and harmed these men. You know, we want to believe the best in them. We want to see them succeed. We want to see them shine, right? You got to take all of it and give it back to yourself. You have to. You have to. And don't hate them. Don't hate them. They hate themselves enough. You know what I'm saying? But you got to love yourself. You have to. You have to, and you have to protect your heart. You must. You must. You must. Don't let anybody sell you a dream You do not live in a fantasy. This is real life. Don't let anybody sell you a dream. Build that for yourself. And the right person will come into your life and not seek to take anything from you, but they will gladly add. And it will never be held over your head. You're never going to be indebted to the right person. They're never going to make you feel less than so they can feel better. Okay? Love you. I've gotten to the point where I'm so...
So, I mean, I agree with I agree with the aspect of males. Males will knock you down, right? And they'll keep knocking you down. Now, I'm going to tweak it a little bit because I actually think that males love themselves the most. That's why they don't care about knocking you down. Instead of changing, instead of becoming better people, instead of addressing the things that they could improve in themselves, they won't do that, right? What they'll choose to do is knock you down, bring you down to where they are. Okay. So one thing is for sure, as much as they may hate themselves, as much as that may be true, they still love themselves more than they love you. Okay. I think that's one of the most important things to keep in mind, especially when dealing with the male species. Okay. As much as they might hate themselves, they still love themselves more than they love you or anybody else. That's one of the biggest reasons why they're always so willing to sacrifice anybody, anything and anybody just to get what it is that they want without changing anything about their own selves. That's why most of them don't come to therapy. They don't really like therapy like that. What's the therapist going to tell me? The truth. That's what we're going to tell you is the truth, right? So you know, it's a little bit different in that women need to start accepting the truth about who the male really is. Okay. It's not that he's incapable of love. You're trying to give him excuses, right? It's not that he's incapable of, not even just love, because they can't actually love unconditionally, but it's not that he's incapable of like treating you well, or at least pretending to do it. It's just that he doesn't care enough to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I say this all the time, at the beginning phases, when they're trying to get you, when they're trying to hook you, because based off of their predatory ways and behaviors, they'll do a lot of pretending, right? They'll do a lot of pretending until they feel like you're stuck, right? So it's not that they don't know how to pretend. It's not that they don't know how to like act like they care. It's just that even though they actually hate themselves, they still care about themselves more than they could ever care about you. So they are more than happy to throw you under the bus. They are more than happy to try to rip things from you, take things from you that they feel like you don't deserve. And they're wondering, well, why does she have these things and I don't? Let's bring her down a couple of pegs. Let's make this a more even playing field. Okay. Someone that cares about you is not going to do that. Right. So it's not the reason he's doing that isn't necessarily because of like this self-hate issue. It's really just the simple fact that, look, women need to start accepting the truth of the matter, which is, look, the males they don't care. They don't care about you. They couldn't care less. They view you as below them, and they view you as a tool to be used. So instead of dealing with anything that they might be dealing with internally or trying to improve internally, they're not going to do any of that if they feel like they could just get a tool, right? And put all that hate onto said tool. Okay. That's the unfortunate truth about the situation. Right. So there's no, like, it's not like, oh, because he hates himself and this and that. They don't even have that much emotion. Like they don't even take the time to see if they can feel any of those things. The video game here, corn here, this here, sleeping with other males here. You know, they don't even take the time to see if they can even, they don't care about that stuff. They don't think about it. They don't care about it. Okay. What's really happening there is they would much rather see you go down than have to do anything that interferes with the way that they are. Unfortunate, but that's just the truth.
Irrationally upset with men as a species that I'm just annoyed by every single thing that they do. I was at a train station yesterday, like, they're so loud. They're taking up so much space. 2 of them are being creepy. I had to keep my eye on one man who was talking to a woman in a weird way. She was trying to get out of the conversation. Like, read the room. We don't want to talk to you. We don't want to hang out with you. We don't want to look at you. We don't want to speak with you. I was also on a walk yesterday, and I'm walking with one headphone in. And I'm walking with one headphone in the room. We don't want to talk to you. We don't want to hang out with you. We don't want to look at you. We don't want to speak with you.
They can't read the room. They can't seem to leave women and children, specifically girls, baby girls, children that are girls, alone.
I was also on a walk yesterday, and I'm walking with one headphone in, trying to just be as alert as I possibly can while trying to be also in nature and calm and chill. And I walk past a bench where a man has decided to take a nap. Not like he lives on this bench and is taking a nap. Like, he just was in the middle of his day doing the same thing that I was doing, got to close his eyes and take a nap. It pissed me off. It got me so angry that a man can just sit down and take a fucking nap in the middle of the day in public and not have to worry about what is going to happen to him if he's defenseless. Like, I'm over it. What are we doing with all of the anger? And I say it's irrational, but maybe it's rational. You know, it's not all men, but like, if it's not all men, talk to your homies about it. It's because of the men that this is why we feel this way. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day.
As a trans girl in her 20s, I just want to let all you women know something. All of your boyfriends are sissy bottom cross-dressers. And that's the reality we have to start accepting. I know that a lot of you love to play into the patriarchy and your little Republican status at home. You claim that your husband is different because he's mad homophobic and Christian, that he doesn't like shit up the ass. But I'm telling you, baby, you just need to go through my DMs one day and see every fucking bitch and their mama in those fucking DMs. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. I think all women should start talking to their boyfriends. Because me personally, I want them to fuck out of my DMs. I love to make money off of these little queers. Ooh. But baby, it's fucking insulting to me as a woman with a she-cock. And I just want to let all you cis girlies know. Straight men are real, but they ain't. And that's okay. That's okay. Okay? Because after reading this book, baby, I don't want none of that in my face. None. I think men are just something to like fucking suck on, but when you're with them, you need to be like, yeah, you're a dog, but I'm a cat type of woman. So I'm gonna have fun with you, I'm gonna babysit you, but my real home is with the kitty. And that's my motto for life, girl. Now, I don't really see myself eating kitty like that, but when it comes to partnership and true love, I can't see it with no fucking dog. I know I got a bone down there, but I don't like playing fetch. Goes out in and out. Sorry.
So y'all, so this is like, so in summary, let's start summarizing here. That was a male, okay, exposing yet another male, exposing all of these males. Okay. And I keep trying to drill this down in the understanding of women that, look, there aren't really, maybe 2 to 5% of them might be all the way straight. Most of them, if not all of them, DL bros. They're on the DL. And one of the reasons that's so important is because those tend to be the most assusive type of males. And you would never really think of that. You would never really think, oh, that male is DL. You know what I'm saying? that's how they have the patriarchy set up. So that was him telling us, hey, so we have more and more of them trying to warn ladies like, hey, the males are gay. Don't get an infection unnecessarily, because they will give you infections unnecessarily. They will bring children here knowing that they've been lying to you about what they are this whole time, and you're going to be the only one losing. Right? So anyway, in summary, y'all, this is the reality of the male species. We can kind of tie all this back into the Dusty Diddy, but I just think the Dusty Diddy case is literally such a good example of what the true nature of most males actually is. Okay. And this is what I say all the time too, because a lot of people were saying things like, well, she did it. Cassie stayed for the money. It's because she wanted money, blah, 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 blah. But the truth of the matter is, well, broke males put hands on women and children daily. Even the ones with no money do the exact same thing. So the behavior that these males exhibit, it's violent through and through because it's in their nature. They're violent beings by nature. So you got to be like on the lookout, To me, if you're going to deal with a male because you can't help yourself or whatever the reason, make sure you have several, keep a roster, have your own home, have your own place. At this point in my life, I don't think I could ever live with a male species. Like, not unless he's going to give me a mansion and I'm going to end up, having that in my name or something. Like, no way. Could not do it. It would just not be worth it. Because if it's a mansion, then I can just be on the other side of it. Well, let's sign the papers tomorrow to pass on the ownership, pass the ownership over here. Okay. So, y'all, it's not really worth it. Becomes the main thing when we're talking about the male species. None of them end up being worth it, realistically speaking, jokes aside, right? Because how many of them have mansions? Let's be so for real. So realistically speaking, right, you have to kind of be on the lookout with these things when it comes to the male species. And also another thing to keep in mind is, as I mentioned before, I'm seeing an increased number of this type of feedback where women are getting increasingly more and more just fed up. Every time I think women can't get any more fed up, they do. And so I don't know. I feel like maybe the males will get more violent. I don't know, because they're already violent. They already caused most of the crime. But it ties back well to the Dusty Diddy case, because this is the truth about most of them. This is what most of them would do if they had the money to create a support system around that degenerate behavior. Over 95% of them would exhibit the exact same behavior. They don't care. They don't care. And it's not even like forced, right? Because it's like I said earlier, literally Dusty Diddy could find people that are interested in those things. He could literally just find people that are like into that. So we know it's not about that particularly. It's about forcing and controlling other people, particularly women. And he does this to women in particular because, of course, he's jealous of women. So he targets women, right, as like easy targets for all that hate and vile behavior. And then Cassie, and then, women end up taking a lot more blame than they should. Like Cassie was saying something like, well, I would do drugs like with my friends, so it wasn't just him. But it's like, yeah, of course you were doing drugs with your friends because he got you addicted to drugs. You literally are addicted to it. He got you addicted to that at the age of 19. So yeah, most definitely you will be doing it regardless, That's why she had to go to a rehab center. But you see how she ends up taking the blame for something that's not, that it's still his fault. He got you addicted to drugs so that he could take advantage of you. So yeah, of course, you're going to be sitting there doing drugs with your friends at the age of 19 or 22. So the males will systematically try to bring you down and knock you down, while at the same time trying to make sure that you take the blame for it. So that's what you have to understand, because when you start finding that you're saying things like, well, I guess it's my fault. I guess I should have done this. Could I have done something better? You're probably being psychologically assuaged, and you should probably run the opposite direction, because what males do is usually multifaceted, right? So they'll be knocking you down while at the same time making sure that you're taking the blame for it. Okay. That's how they secure, what they view as the asset, right? The object. And so the whole time you're going to be taking blame for things that it's like, no, that doesn't make sense, because of course you're going to do that if you're already addicted to drugs and he got you addicted to drugs. He's the one that was giving you the drugs at the age of 19. So yeah, So anyways, y'all, I think that's a good place for today. But, kind of keeping those in mind, I'm trying to make sure I didn't forget anything. Yeah, Diddy's demise, more women are fed up, and it's all getting worse. Okay. Even the public platforms I posted in the community section, I mean, they're censoring women at a level that's unheard of. They're trying to make this happen no matter what. The only reason they haven't explicitly censored us and just banned us completely probably is because they want to do that, what I was just talking about. They want to make it seem like they're not doing anything, so that you keep questioning yourself and questioning, well, is it me? Is it really happening? Right? So it's not like, oh, boom, they're the ones that are doing it to you. Meanwhile, they're the ones that are doing it systematically to you. Right. So all of these platforms and stuff are trying even harder. I don't know if it's a last ditch attempt, but they're definitely getting desperate about the whole situation. Right. I unsubscribed from Netflix. I unsubscribed from Amazon. There's several reasons. First of all, I don't like when companies play in my face. Okay. Netflix increasing their price to $20 a month for ad-free content, and that degenerate company doesn't even have shows that are worth that. They have a ton of K-dramas. Now I know the truth about Korea. So I can't even enjoy dramas, because the whole time I'm watching and I know how misogynistic that culture is, I'm like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. It ruins it for me. I like watching like romantic movies, because when I feel like crying, when I feel like releasing emotion, seeing some drama, being like, what? Nuh-uh, but, and so I can't get into it if I know this much about the truth about what y'all are. How am I supposed to do that? The whole time I'm just going to be like, yeah, well, we know the truth about that now, don't we? We know that you hide cameras in the restrooms now, don't we? Every time Prince Charming comes on the screen, I'm like, so the audacity of Netflix. I do not like when companies play in my face. I'm like, you have no new shows. Like, most of the shows you have are like so dumb. And for the shows that I would like to watch that fit on one hand, probably, or even if any new ones come up, I could literally just like choose a month to catch up on the show and then cancel it later. So the fact that you think you could just keep increasing your prices on me and I'm just going to tolerate that is wild. You're playing games. Okay. That was the first reason. And then the second reason is a lot of their shows are becoming more and more misogynistic. And I can't unsee it once I see it. You're trying to get women to settle for being assuaged. You're trying to get women to settle for males that are abusive, that are sleeping around. You're portraying women as forgiving these males for things that are quite frankly unforgivable. And you're pushing more and more of this degenerate type of content out there. I can't do it. There's nothing that I enjoy watching out of that. right? So I'm like, you know, worst case scenario, I can get it for a month if there's shows I want to catch up on, but you keep playing games, so I'm out. Goodbye. And then same thing with Amazon. You know, so all these companies, I feel like they're just getting desperate. You know, I'm like, dang, I'm noticing a level of desperacy that I did not see coming. Like, I didn't see it coming. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, y'all claim to be so leaders, like you have everything under control, but yet you seem pretty like desperate to me. Like, what's going on here? Right. So that's my recommendation, is getting a lot pickier with the apps. You know, now it's so much more flexible. I'll just pick whichever one I want to use for the month or whatever, if there's something I want to watch, and I'll just like pay for that and then unsubscribe. Because I feel like they're really, really trying to push this traditional wife thing down women's throat. And I don't enjoy that type of content. So I'm going to be sitting there like, what is this? This is not even fun. It's not enjoyable. Like, I'm paying for nothing, you know? So anyways, y'all, that's my thoughts on it. Hi, Molly. Thanks for joining. So Molly says, please cover the poor, beautiful woman held up in her shop by a friend, then unalived. Her name was Valerie. It happened live on TT. They are saying it's a crime against women. Yeah, unalived. We'll see. I mean, if you guys have suggestions, leave it in the comment below. The thing is, I have to take a look at that to see if it's too intense for the algorithm. Some of these things would probably be better if we covered it like in the membership section. So once we get enough members in there, we'll be able to cover more specific content. But the thing about it is, some of this content might be a little bit intense for the YouTube algorithm that is already suppressing the channel. I mean, because the channel is already heavily suppressed on YouTube, right? So I'll take a look at it to see if it's something that we can at least infuse in, you know what I mean? But that I was saying this in the other live on Tuesday, which is like, sometimes some of the content that y'all suggest might be a little bit too intense for the algorithm. So we'll see what we can do as far as that goes. So y'all, if you have anything that you want me to cover or that you might be interested in us covering, do leave it in the comments below. But sometimes if I don't pick it up, that's probably the reason why, you know, or if I don't pick it up immediately, that's probably the reason why, right? So it's probably because I'm thinking, I don't know how that might go based off of the YouTube algorithm and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, leave it in the comments below as far as any suggestions that you might have. Y'all don't forget to smash the like button, the subscribe if you haven't. And thank you to the new members, because I think there was like one new member that I saw on there. Y'all check out the membership section and check out the Patreon as well. So we once we build the memberships, we'll be able to do more exclusive content. So I am looking forward to that. And yeah, we'll be able to go from there. But I think that's about it, y'all. Thanks for joining. I think the next live is we might go live tomorrow. We'll see how I'm feeling. I'll let y'all know. So keep track of the community section. If not, the next live will be on Tuesday. Okay. So I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.